All right, what is up, everyone? My name is Speedy. Welcome to NotSoSpeedRuns, and we are here back with Blades in the Dark 6 and 20, our season 2 premiere. We are here with the Phantom crew. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you so much, all you came in with those hosts as we were starting out. Really do appreciate that. But let us get started by going around to our fantastic cast and crew, as we always do. I want to start up by saying Louise, unfortunately, could not be here tonight. She's off for a couple weeks doing some theater things or something or another. Something probably cooler than us. I don't know. But
Well,
she's missing out.
She's clearly the cool one
yeah.
of all of
But
us.
she is. I mean, just look at those tattoos. Oh wait, that's just her skin. Anyways, let's go around to our cast. And you guys can tell us about yourselves and who you're going to be playing tonight, starting, as we always do, with Trendane.
Do we always start with me?
Yeah, it's because you're
I like
super
to think
sexy,
so.
so deal with it.
No.
It's true.
No.
What?
No, sir. Sexy. And I mean, holy shit. Is Mr. Grimjack. Oh, right.
Hey, I'm on that boat too, right? All right.
I know.
His voice is amazing. Let's be honest.
And
I'm gonna
there
mute
were
myself.
things I want to do to that boy with my tongue. PG tips, by the way.
Oh my god.
Just saying. So, right, where was I? California. Okay. I'm Trendane. I am a professional voice actor who occasionally swings by here to and I play a whisper named Hocus, who is a little bit on the freaked out side right now. Because while he spent 15 years being raised in Eruvia as, you know, the child of a long line of very, very prominent whispers, he spent the last 20 years being a courier here, trying to leave all this whisper crap behind because ghosts freak him out. Well, demons. One demon. Never mind. Let's move on. He doesn't like this shit, and it's just bothering him. Hello, Grimjack. I'm gonna drop it like it's on PG tips. Down we go.
Hello, I am Madame Gandalf. I play Ari, and I only just wrote my backstory after a whole season. Thanks to Owlbare and Louise, we finally got that all sorted. And yeah, Ari is impulsive, flirtatious, and just a little bit messed up. So it's going to be interesting to see how we start when the season begins with a bang. So I'm really excited. And I missed this so much. And I missed the old Speedy. So I'm really excited that we have the old Speedy back.
It's
Love
me.
you, Speedy. And so we're gonna move over this way. This way. Yes.
This way? Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Joff, also known as Owlbare, here on Twitch and on Twitter, and I play Sesereth Grines, also known as Grin, also known as Jinx Gotifer, as it was revealed towards the end of the first season. Jinx is a veteran of the Scotland Independence War, otherwise known as the Unity War. He is a really messed up guy who's pretty handy with the blades and kinda professional killer / bodyguard / small-time smuggler. And that's how he kind of fell in with Sky and crew, because he's a cutter, and that means he's pretty dang good with weapons and knows how to protect his crew. And we're going to see where he goes throughout season 2, because honestly, today, right now, I'm not sure, and I can't wait to find out. And that's me. Back to you, Speedy.
Thanks, Joff. Owlbears and nips, not as in Gur.
That last episode, we all did that so well. I was.
Yeah.
it's the dance craze that's sweeping the
Oh my
nation.
god.
Not like him.
Yeah, thank you guys. My name is Speedy, also known as NotSoSpeedRuns, here on the Twitch and the Twitter. This is my channel. But today I am playing as Sky, Jericho Schuyler, a man with a past that has haunted him so badly that he doesn't have any trust or respect for really anyone around him and wants nothing but revenge on the entire city of Doskvol. As a result, he set a plan into motion to try and destroy it. The fastest way he could think of was to destroy a lightning barrier, to bring in the ghosts from the outside of the city to overrun it. But that didn't quite go well. That part kind of went according to plan. Things after that didn't go entirely according to plan. Before I start talking about what happened entirely, I suppose I should turn things over to Johnny, our DM. Tell us who you are and what we're doing here and everything that has happened so far.
I have no idea what I'm doing here. I show up and just wave
you
my
want me to run
hands and make a little. Oh yeah, hey, you know what? It's all about Trendane. Wait, no, it's that way.
Phantom wins. Roll end credits.
So wait a minute. I keep meaning to ask you guys. Are you guys the Phantom Menace?
Mhm.
I will reach through this frame.
All right, but seriously, okay. So Speedy walks away. All right, so I am Johnny. I am the GM for 6 and 20. I do this on this channel and over on Mike's channel on Wednesday nights. In 2 weeks, we'll be starting a third crew, and that'll be showing up on Tuesday nights. I don't know why I'm doing three nights in a row. That's crazy. Anyways, let's jump right in because there's a lot going on, and you guys were left at a cliffhanger. So I'm going to do exactly what I did last night with the Shroud crew and ask you a couple of really brief questions about the situation as we set up the where you guys were. So you guys did a couple of really big things, and they were almost bordering on chaotic and crazy and ballsy as hell. You blew up a lightning tower. You put a plan together where you were going to rescue people that actually mattered to you. And everybody around the table, except for Hocus, actually got people that they cared about and brought them on essentially onto this ship that you guys had all you've been able to organize. And then you made a mad dash for that ship as it was parked outside, only to find it empty because the spirits in the deadlands had possessed a bunch of people. So I'm going to ask a very basic question just because I want to get a sense of how you guys feel about it after 3 weeks. Are you still good with what you did?
No.
I'm so proud.
Seriously, I mean, this is a serious question because we talked about it a little bit on when we did the Talks in the Dark post season 1 thing, and everybody was feeling really good about it. But after 3 weeks of just kind of sitting on it, are you still good with the circumstances that you find yourself in based on your actions, or are you regretting things? I mean, it's not going to have necessarily an impact on the game. I'm just kind of curious because both crews pulled ballsy things, incredibly ballsy. So,
I think Sky is in a very distraught place right now. He's conflicted, I would say, because on one hand we did destroy the lightning tower, which is what we set out to do, and to be honest, having the rest of the crew survive, I mean, it's nice, but he would have been willing to go down with it because fuck it, fuck it. But at the same time, just the idea that everything that he had been working towards, that someone threw a wrench in it, that things didn't go according to plan, is kind of tearing him up. And he just doesn't know how to react at this point, because this is not something he accounted for as in the plan. Right. I would say that as of right now, he's currently just seeing the boat exploded, he just kind of collapsed and is clutching the ghost of his sister and just slightly humming to her.
Well, right, but so that's Sky. But I mean, is Speedy okay with the circumstances? I mean, because you guys, when you guys were, I mean, there were lots of conversations going on. There was a lot of planning. There was a lot of back and forth. Private messages, all that, and we talked a bit about that when most of us got together and had that conversation on stream. But it's like the circumstances around that for Sky, you just elaborated on, but is Speedy okay with that? I mean, is Trendane okay with the fact that he didn't take anybody, that Hocus didn't take anybody, right? I mean, is Trendane still okay with, with what's going on? Is Ari okay with the fact that, or is Manam Gandalf okay with the fact that Ari basically may have been the cause of the death of a favorite friend of her characters? I mean, these are some pretty crazy stuff. I'm curious before we get started if the players are feeling, any emotional regrets, essentially.
Regrets, I would say no. I know how Hocus is going to feel about it in very short, well, not very short order, but if he gets to a point where he can sit and think for a minute. But for myself, not really knowing what caused the boat to catch fire yet, my brain is like, why did those idiots moor the boat? I mean, it is I think my understanding is that it's fairly well known that spirits and such don't really go out on the water. The water is not a safe place, but it's safer than standing around on land where anything can get to you. And so why did they not moor offshore and wait for a signal from us to come to the dock? And then what the hell did they go there for? And
right.
So that was kind of what was going through my mind during that point in the last episode, was why were they docked anyway? So that was part of what was spinning in my brain while I was trying to figure out, okay, we're tracking these people now because they were idiots and docked the boat. Further, we searched the boat for those people. Whatever caused that fire, why the hell didn't we see it? Well, it was, so this is the stuff that's spooling kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Anybody
I feel
else?
the same way. No, actual regrets. I feel like we kind of tried our best to come up with the best outcome. We thought we had come up with a really clever plan, but once we actually came up with a plan, and we don't normally plan. It's normally just like, okay, we're about to go live. Any ideas? And that's how our planning has gone. If anything, it's more like frustration for not so much myself. I like the story. I like that it's brought a lot of drama to the story. But I know that at least Ari is pissed because she started playing a game and suddenly people were changing the rules. And she started the game. And so she kind of feels a little bit like, hang on. Who's changing the rules to my game? When did this begin? So she's mostly angry and probably very disappointed in herself for getting too impulsive and not thinking enough.
Interesting. So I just learned something about Ari as a character in what you just said there, is that somebody changed the plan, or somebody changed the rules on you, or changed the scope. That's something I hadn't got before. So this is the reason that I'm asking these questions, is because it helps me conceptualize what's going on with the players as they look at their characters in this situation. So,
and I realized I didn't quite answer your question. No, I don't feel bad about Hocus's decision because he doesn't have anybody. He's got Jot and Tittle, and they really aren't his friends. They're just ghosts who happen to pop in and out of his life at their whim, and so he doesn't really think of them as friends. So no, he doesn't feel bad about it.
Okay. Now, in contrast, I do feel bad about Grin's decisions in the finale, and I think Grin is probably the moment he almost lost Mercy and Samandra. I think everything changed, and especially when there were children involved. I don't think Grin realized how ready he was to sacrifice his own people for a vendetta that he was otherwise naming, the Skovlan independence, the Second War. He thought this was an attempt to take Doskvol back for the Skovlanders, and he now has been rudely awakened and realized that he's a selfish, self-absorbed, arrogant, evil bastard. And I think that's what's going to be weighing on him as we go into season 2, because he is full of regrets. And he realizes he is not Jinx Gotifer. He is not how other people view him. So we'll see. And how I feel about it, I loved it. I loved the cliffhanger. I thought it was amazing. I thought Grin was absolutely full of terrible choices. And he made them all throughout season 1 because they were terrible choices. And it's funny how a character can surprise you. It's actually funny as you play RPGs that characters can go off and do their own thing, and you look back and you're like, why did you do that? and Grin was full of that last season, so I'm kind of looking forward to seeing where his story takes me this time.
So one of the interesting things and we're about to get started, but I just want to note this as an observation between the two crews. One of the things that both of you did, just individually and just kind of as a group as you're talking about all of this, is that you started with your characters. And then, as I prompted you for the players, that's when you went with your players. I love that you're so into your characters that you start with your characters. That there's such an emotional response for your characters and your love for your characters that's really where you begin when I ask you a question. And it's exciting to see, and it makes me even more excited for season 2 because, yeah, I'll share that later when it comes up to it. So let's get started. Coming back into the world of Doskvol, you find yourself standing on a dock. There is a burning rubble in front of you. That is this iron ship that is slowly sinking into the void sea. Behind you is the port of Old Northport. It's the oldest settlement inside just outside of the Doskvol proper, the lightning barrier, of which you had taken down a segment of because you destroyed a lightning tower. And now you're just kind of standing there looking at the circumstance. There's the crew. There are 20 people surrounding you who are all the individuals that you chose to save. The wind is howling. It's cold. There's a light rain beginning. The misty breeze coming off of the ocean, is saturating your clothes, and you're starting to feel a little cold. What do you guys do?
Jump in the water and drown myself. No.
That is a valid response. Let's be honest. That is a valid response. You know what the afterlife holds for you, so.
Yeah, I'm thrilled.
Sky is stunned by what's going on in front of him. He doesn't know how to react. If you're turning to him for any sort of guidance, he is at the cart. He is sitting leaned up against one of the wheels, and he is clutching his sister's spirit vial.
Out of curiosity, how many people can we get in or on the cart?
Well, that's a good question for all of you. This was a level 2 cart, I think, is what we called it, the armored cart with an armored, set of goats. So I'm assuming that it's a covered carriage of some kind, almost like like either like a Western Union, a classic Western Union kind of a thing. And we described a little bit of that last night on the Shroud. So realistically, how many people do you think you could fit into there?
I would say it's at least slightly larger than that, because it is something that we use for transporting large amounts of wholesale goods.
Okay.
So it is like a supply vehicle, so there would be room in the back, assumably.
Okay.
But I don't know that everyone would be able to fit in the back.
Well, let's look at it from the perspective of a stagecoach. I mean, which this, our cart would be larger than that.
Mm-hmm.
So with a stagecoach, you could fit probably 8 people inside it, probably 3 people up on the buckboard, probably 2 at most, I would think, on the ceiling, which is where most of the baggage would go. And since there's no baggage going up there, because fuck that, we have higher priorities right now. I don't care about your Aunt Mabel's silver, full-length mirror. You're leaving that shit behind. So, and I just lost count, but 2
That was 13.
Thank you. Maybe 4 people on top at best. And you could probably have on the side steps 1 person on each holding on to the thing. As long as you didn't hit too many bumps, that step railing should hold.
All right. So check what I just showed, what I just posted into the Zoom chat. I think that this matches along the same lines of what you're describing, but also just it has a little bit, a representation of a little bit more capacity than what you're talking about. So I'm assuming it's a lot like this. Do you see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying about that, but more armored. And then you would have actually probably a little bit more space to have people on top of the vehicle as well. So I don't know if you wanted to quickly share that, on screen for folks, Speedy. But basically, what it is, it's essentially a carrier, a wagon of some kind, a covered wagon of some kind, where there was like a storage container in the back, where it's almost like what would be considered in the modern day, like a transport of some kind, like a U-Haul.
It's like a cargo van, but it's
right, exactly.
So they're not going to be comfortable, but they can move.
Right. So if that's what you're thinking about, and it's kind of heavily armored, it's the kind of thing that's probably a little bit bigger because of the armor and probably a little bit sturdier. So I imagine that you're going to be able to stack a good amount of people on top of everything else. So
I think the trade-off is going to be that with that many people, the goat is going to be strained to pull that much weight. Once it gets going, it'll be okay, but it's going to take a bit to get going. And we're talking 25 people.
Yeah.
If you include us.
With you guys, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that's definitely more than it would be able to carry, but I think we can get the vast majority of the people that we had on the boat on the thing. Those people who can fight, they're with us, and they won't run, because we've got about a mile, I think, to cover to get back inside the lightning shield.
I have an idea.
Yeah. You present that idea. I'm going to turn on the light here because I'm having trouble with my camera. I'm getting too dark. So let me turn on the light, guys. Go ahead.
Okay.
It's a dark game, Johnny. Anyway.
I'm loath to repeat myself, but my idea is basically, let's put Samandra in the driver's seat, and I think she would get these people to safety. Let's take Mercy and some of the other more physical fighter types with us, and basically split the group up. If you put the civilians in Samandra's hands, she's not going to betray us. So if she takes the cart back and dumps it, I can learn later where she hit the cart, and we can fetch it. But at least this way, we can make our way on foot.
You could also put Alistair as a blue coat.
Yes.
And so, either with us as kind of a cover or with them as kind of a cover.
That would be actually kind of handy to have a blue coat with us if he's willing.
Yeah, because none of these... did we tell these people we're going to blow up the lightning barrier, or we just say it was going to blow up?
We didn't really tell them anything.
I don't think we really told them anything. I think we just said it's going to be... There's a war starting, is about as much as we told them.
There's a lot of people that are probably demanding answers.
Yeah, there's a lot of panicking going on, but they were incredibly subdued after the possession based on... Because they were in the middle of that possession, right? And to kind of refresh, for the viewers, you lost track of your essentially your group that was supposed to be stationed on the ship, waiting for you to go off to Eruvia, and since the ship was empty, you immediately thought, okay, well, let's go check out. Let's go figure out if there's something going on in Old Northport. I believe it was either Hocus or Sling looked into the ghost field, or they looked somewhere and they saw something. that indicated that they needed to go. You all needed to go into essentially the ruins that is the Old Northport town.
And Goat was tracking too.
And Goat was tracking, and so Goat, led you guys to that particular that settlement where the entire party of 20 was possessed, and subsequently, when Hocus was able to push all of those possessing spirits, those possessing ghosts out of these bodies, these people were pretty much subdued, a little panicky, but otherwise subdued and kind of following you. And now as they come to realize the situation, as they see the burning ship and they see you starting to talk about the carriage, they're starting to panic.
Further, I think that it would be best, in the interest of additional cover, to send Sling with the cart. She can use her gun to provide cover from the roof.
Okay, we'll put her up front with Samandra, but first we're going to have to talk to Samandra. We're going to have to talk to your blue coat friend, Ari. We have to talk to the people and calm them the hell down.
You looking at me to do this?
You're really good with words, Ari. I
pride myself on a few things, but a lot more people to try and persuade than I'm normally used to.
I'm keeping watch on the surroundings because I know things were starting to take an interest in this amount of life out here.
Casting an eye at Sky. How's Sky doing, Speedy?
He's still about as I described him.
Okay. Grin is actually going to walk over and literally lay a hand on your shoulder and pull you to your feet and stare at you. Sky, we need you. We really need you.
His eyes kind of... They're looking off into the distance at first, and they kind of hone in on you.
We have to go. We have to go right now. And if we don't go, all our plans, all our wants and desires are for naught. We have to go, or we're going to end up the way of your friend Muscles. We have to leave right now.
At this point, Ari's going to start trying to talk to some individuals while they're talking.
How do you go about consoling them? I mean, or how do you go about engaging them? What are you saying to them?
General persuasive things of how this is a matter of life and death, and if they don't move fast, we need to then they're just going to disintegrate right here.
Mm-hmm.
That'll calm them down. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, given the fact that you said this is a life or death situation, I'm going to need an action roll of some kind from you. Because that reminds me of something that happened last night where, somebody mentioned that there was a life or death situation, trying to calm people down and
go back to partying. Yeah, but to be fair, he was telling them to go back to party. This is telling people we need to get the frick out of here.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but I think there's a certain amount of consoling and tact that could be used in this particular situation. So I want to find out how well or how badly Ari does what she does.
I guess this would be a desperate sway.
No, I'm going to say that this is a risky sway right now. Although I could be argued desperate. The reason I say it's risky is and actually let me move the map back to this. Let me say what the reason I think it's risky specifically is there's not an immediate obvious threat. You're out in the Deadlands, absolutely, but Hocus has just expelled all these spirits, so there's not an obvious new threat. There's not something coming at you directly. You also have the lightning barrier that is down off to essentially to your northeast. And so I imagine that that's probably causing a little bit more excitement. However, there's a lot of unknowns in this. So maybe you are surrounded by spirits and just don't know. Go ahead.
Not to interrupt the flow of the game and the moment, but I think this is probably something we should cover for people who may be joining us for the first time and don't understand the mechanics of the game. What is the difference between risky, desperate, and blah? And subsequently
Okay, so controlled, risky, and desperate. That's a good point. So when you roll, take an action roll of some kind. You are asked a couple of questions. The player determines the action that you're going to take based upon their description of what they're going to do. And from what the conversation that we're having is, Ari is going to roll a sway, which is how you persuade people, essentially. With the word is, I'm losing the word right now. The position right now, the question being whether it's controlled, risky, or desperate. The position basically represents the amount of inherent risk. So controlled situation is you have a pretty good handle on what's going on around you. Risky means you're not necessarily sure, your situation, but you're pretty confident still. Desperate means probably life or death situations. So again, I think that this is a risky situation. At least I could see an argument for desperate. I'm happy to go with desperate. I want to see what the party thinks on this one. Or the crew
I'm almost thinking would this maybe be more of a command more than it would be a sway.
Okay. All right.
Due to the fact that I like it was pointed out, is like, how'd you calm them down? This is a matter of life and death. It kind of feels a little bit more of a command. Like, you need to go and do this. You need to go and do this.
Because they're sort of coming out of a stupor. They need a voice of authority.
I was going to say, Grin has 2 little pips in commands. Can Grin assist Ari in basically telling folks, shit's going down, this is what we're doing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's command them.
Yeah. And
we're leaving.
When we get to talking about extra dice, then I'll bring in that other factor. Go ahead. Okay,
so I think, are we calling this a risky or are we calling this desperate? You were talking about adding.
It's not desperate. It's risky.
Okay.
Most.
Give it the old risky standard, I'd say.
Yeah. All right. Risky standard. All right. And do I get bonus dice because of the help?
Well,
go ahead.
Obviously, what we were just talking about, Grin assisting her would probably give her 1. Correct? Further, one of your friends that's in this group is a blue coat. He trusts you, and he is a person that is genuinely recognized as a position of authority, and he would better back your play, on this. And so he would probably be able to assist in saying, I know her. She knows what she's talking about. Let's go.
We also have an Imperial officer, unfortunately, here with us.
Well, so here's what so from the influence of the 2 people of authority, the blue coat and the Imperial officer, you're going to get 1 die for that. Absolutely. Okay. The other one is that Grin is going to take 2 stress, and he's going to offer you an assist with his commanding presence as well. And here you have a blue coat, you've got an Imperial officer, and you have a Scovelander refugee who represents himself with some authority, backing your command. So you get those 2 additional dice at this point.
There was some flinching there, Owlbare. Why are you seem like you're second guessing this now?
My stress is pretty much kept, and we're gonna see what happens there. Yeah.
Love you. Let's roll. That's not too shabby.
That was very good. That was very, very good. Good job. Okay. So as you begin to kind of move through the crowd and you start, kind of just connecting with these people with authority. I mean, this is a side of Ari that most of you probably haven't seen. She's taking control of the situation. She's taking charge, and she is just moving in. And so, Ari, what does your posture look like? What does it look like when you really kind of take charge? Describe it to us to let us know this is not the sultry, the subtle, the demure. This is the powerful, commanding Ari. What does that look like?
Well, the first thing she does.
Leather. I'm imagining a lot of leather.
Oh no! I was like, she's got her titties at half mast. Sorry, was the first thing that went through my head.
I have got a whip down here.
No,
the first thing I feel that Ari would do is simply take off the jacket of the blue coat that she knows and put it on herself. Just so that, for one, she's freaking freezing right now. That girl wears not very much clothing. So she's just going to straight up grab a piece of clothing that's going to make her feel warmer. She's going to feel more in charge because she's got this nice, like, gentleman's jacket on. And she's going to start speaking with the authority that we know that she sometimes can get into when she is angry.
Okay.
But it doesn't feel angry so much this time. It just feels like she knows what she's doing.
Mom voice.
Yeah, the mom voice of sorts. Telling everybody to, you know, sharpen up, to get them, like, to leave their fears, their feelings to the side for now.
Okay.
Not the time for people to break down should they want to be able to continue to see another day. And it doesn't sound scary. It sounds, well, commanding. It's like that army officer where he tells you to mourn your friend later.
Okay. So you begin to kind of manage the crowd and take control and kind of settle them in a bit into a way that makes them malleable in your control. And this is a familiar question I'm going to ask you. What do you now have them do?
I have them split into groups with the people that we discuss that we want to come with us versus the people we want to go onto the carriage and do exactly what Joff suggested earlier and get what was her name? I'm so sorry. Mercy. Get Mercy to drive.
She's a contract killer. Oh no, Samandra is the Imperial officer. She's the one that you portrayed last season, Ari. And Mercy is Grin's old friend who is Scotland, and she's a contract killer, so she knows how to use a gun. Whereas putting Samandra up front with your blue coat friends, it will look good as they're moving back into the city.
To the people that are there.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to get them to pile into their carriage, those that we want to go with them, and any of the other arms that we want to come with us, you know, command them into the two groups. And all the meanwhile, keeping an eye over her shoulder at seeing how Grin is doing with Sky.
Okay, so to be clear about the plan now, good job, by the way. That was a phenomenal job in respect to the role and description and everything. I absolutely loved it. So to be clear about the plan that you guys are now espousing, without Sky, you know, actually engaging, the majority of the refugees, I'm thinking them in my head as refugees at this point because that's what was your original plan. The refugees are going to get onto this cart, except for, I believe it's Mercy, the blue coats, and that's it. Everybody else is going to come pile on, and you guys are going to move separately.
I'm having a hard time remembering everyone that was in that group, but if there's anyone that knows how to handle a weapon, anyone that knows either a gun or a blade, we'd probably, me and Grin and Ari would separate them. We'd probably want a bit more manpower with us.
I believe that you also took, I believe it was Sling that made sure that the Scovelander and his son came along. So the Scovelander would definitely be another soldier and somebody that you would know. That would definitely be somebody coming your direction. The son would be of age in Scovelander, you know, in the Scoveland culture to take a weapon, but the father would probably be very, very cautious about him actually doing anything, right?
Yeah.
So he would probably say, son, please protect, you know, go with the carriage and please protect them, you know, try to give the child responsibility without, you know, putting him at what he would consider real risk.
Yeah, and I think what Trend suggested, what Hocus was suggesting is let's get Sling up front with her rifle next to our blue coat and Imperial friends.
You don't see Sling anywhere.
Oh. Okay, I don't have time to process that right now. I'm still shaking. Okay. We'll worry about that later. does that work to separate the group? I mean, it's going to be crammed in the carriage, but does it work?
It's going to cover the ground a lot faster than we will.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, in that case, that leaves 4 of us, plus Samandra, plus our Scotland friend, plus some... I'm blanking. Who else do we have with us?
That's about it.
That's about it.
Yeah.
The ones for it that have actually any power, because otherwise I've got like a tavern person
That's right.
with me, and that's not really very handy. Pouring
Right.
beers is not going to get us anywhere at this point.
Then we'll stack people in the cart. We'll stack them flat like pancakes, and then we'll keep going.
Well, I don't. So I think between what you have on top, what you have in front, and what you have, I mean, because it sounds like somewhere between 16 to 17 people are going to be on that cart. I think you're going to be able to get the majority of them without a problem on the cart in some way, shape, or form. So I wouldn't stress about that between the cargo space inside and this type, anything on top, and then maybe 1 or 2 individuals kind of hang on either to the side or to the back.
Yeah, and again, if anyone's freaking out and doesn't want to be part of this, and they can't be shoved into the cart, they're on their own.
Well, no, Ari did a phenomenal job in commanding them and really kind of instructing them in to follow along, for their life and for their safety. So she has set you up in a way that you have a lot more control. She has a lot more control in this situation than you guys do. But yeah, so that's you appear to be ready, good to go with your plan in place as you're interacting with Sky.
Okay. Right, then we send Samandra on her way. We send Samandra and Mr. Bluecoat on their way, get them moving, and then
with the instruction that they are to inform the people over there that there is one more group coming.
Okay.
Yeah. And I will actually tell Samandra if she can get to Kellen's. I think it was Kellen's.
Kellen's is correct.
If she can get there safely, great. Otherwise, go wherever she deems best and send word to me through whatever channel necessary, so that we know where we can pick up our cart, our mobile HQ. Grin will do that and pray that she doesn't betray him.
Now drive swiftly, that goat.
Okay, and so the goat is slowly turned as Samandra just kind of is able to steer it and begins to move back in that general direction, and you hear the creaking of the suspension on your vehicle as the goat is straining to pull a heavily laden carriage, with all of the armor on top of all of the people that you've piled into us. It's slowly.
We're pushing at the beginning.
Well, right, you're right. But you're getting it. She's getting it turned and then getting it and going off in the right direction. And she's taking it at a brisk pace, but it's a safe pace of, and it begins to kind of move off into the distance as you're left standing there with your crew. Sans Sling.
What about Goat?
Goat is curled up on the dock.
Goat's still here?
But Sling is
Goat the dire pug, yes.
But Sling's gone.
But Sling is gone.
That's not good. Okay, fine. I try whistling for Goat.
You try to engage Goat. Goat is not really responsive to you. Just kind of curled up there, the dog equivalent of a fetal position, or just kind of wrapped around itself, kind of, cowering. And as you get closer, you can hear Goat whimpering. Just not, but there's nothing obviously wrong with Goat as you approach. There's no physical element that you can tell. There's no physical wound of any kind that you can see.
I'm not grabbing that dog.
I'll go over there and just barely attune enough that my voice also comes through the ghost field and say, "We'll find her. It's time to go. Come on." And move to pick him up.
Okay, so when you attune, I'm going to have you roll this actually, because there's an element of complication here that I want to see if it comes into play. So this is definitely a controlled situation. And I think the effect is limited to standard, limited to the dog, standard being probably things that are peripheral to the dog that you might catch. So I'm willing to go either way.
Now, does the point of harm come into effect here?
Are you
I'm
currently
not
in
calm.
shock? Are you currently in shock though? Shock being, so completely overwhelmed that you are unable to process things as a normal person would. That's
no. I'd say he's probably hyper aware at this point.
Okay, so no, then yeah, the trauma is not going to come into play.
All right, so standard.
So standard, okay.
Bonus dice, any?
Do you want to push yourself or take a devil's bargain?
No.
Do it.
Oh.
Do it.
No.
About the only person who could probably support you is catatonic right now, in the form of Speedy.
Not true.
Sorry, Sky.
Ari has ghost voice.
I have Doskvol.
Oh, that's right.
I can help you. I'm down to help you.
All right.
Ari is not that stressed right now, surprisingly.
Okay, so go ahead and take 2 stress and offer him a bonus die. Gonna
get a bonus because if you're looking for Sling and she might be on lure.
Well,
Yeah.
Hocus. So I'm going to ask a question here, because in my mind, based on everything that's happened, you don't have a close relationship or even a real relationship at all with Sling. It seems like Grin and Ari and Sky have each had their own relationship building moment, but that hasn't happened between you and you and Sling, has it?
No, not really.
Okay. All right. So
If anything, they're more distant because he he cracked a bunch of lure in the lightning tower and but he probably would be. There is probably a representation in the ghost field of the tether that connects Sling and I almost said pug. That's not right.
A
Kiwi.
goat.
No, wrong. Goat. Yes, thank you.
Kiwi works.
No, it doesn't. She's much bigger than a kiwi. He's much bigger than sorry. Kiwi, the pug, is a female. Never mind. Anyway.
Yeah, well, this is a dire pug. Remember, we
I know.
defined it. Yeah. Okay.
So he's the size of a football. I get it. That would be an American football, by the way.
Poor pug. Anyways,
yeah.
Go ahead.
You could probably in the ghost field could probably see that tether normally, and if it is not there or severed in some way, that would kind of stick out to him.
Well, and that's part of the complication. So
right.
that's actually going to be a part of the result, right? That you're going to see. So it sounds like Ari's assisting you by also. I mean, what does that assist look like, Ari?
Thing is, I just imagine Ari not really like knowing what to do. She's just kind of barking.
Row, 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 row.
You think because you speak ghost, you can also speak dog?
However, yeah, exactly. Like I can imagine Hocus being like, can you help? And Ari is just there like,
she's like, well, but he's a pug, so so.
Okay. All right. So you both are trying to console this dog in your own interesting way. What? So Sky or Speedy, you were going to say something about an additional die?
I was saying if they're looking for any trace of Sling, the fact that she was on lure might give her an additional, or it might make it easier to find her or to notice a trail of her.
But we weren't really looking for her.
Well, that's an interesting question. To me, I don't think lure. I think lure, in a lot of ways, allows Sling to attune, but I don't think it necessarily enhances her presence any more than any other living creature. Or, I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, you were just talking about, with Merrick and the whole lure situation and how Merrick came up with lure.
You think you know how lure works? I invented the character who invented lure.
Yeah, whatever. Dude. Whatever. Whatever. But yeah, no. So, but I think that's a conversation that you and Luis should have about lure in general, because I think there's an opportunities there. But at this point, I'm not so sure that necessarily makes sense from a type perspective.
And moreover, the last time she took it was what? In the Lightning Tower? That was a very mild dosage. She's probably coming off of it pretty heavily right now.
Yeah, Luis says in chat that she was fading out anyway. So at that point, so yeah, okay, excellent. All right, so go ahead and
roll it.
Let's see that roll
now. For those of you at home, which is most of us, I suspect, because I'm at home too. It's not a very good comparison to make, or example, whatever thing. Kiwi. Where was I going with this? You are going to learn right here what usually happens whenever Hocus tries to roll anything. Not that.
That's a pretty good roll. That's good.
Yeah.
That's why I said not that. He usually rolls very poorly.
Okay, so Hocus, you begin to attune as you kind of move in close, and Arya, as you're stepping up and just making, sounds that you think would be soothing to goat. Hocus, you begin to, well, Ari first. Actually, I'll do this because both of you get to hear. Both of you hear this. There's a resonance of the whimpering in the ghost field. It's almost like you can see the sound wave kind of coming off a little bit of goat as he's whimpering and just kind of not in pain, like a dog would be, with like normal panting and just kind of whining, but there's just this there's like this emotional, just like I'm missing my mommy kind of a situation, kind of a whimper or a whine. And so that's when you hear that, it's for both of you, it's almost like you can see the sound wave coming off a little bit of it as it resonates in the ghost field. And this already gives you the first little twinge of what it is to kind of see into the ghost field, because you're not sure what you're seeing with your eyes, but you're hearing it, and as you're hearing it, you feel like you're seeing something. But so for Hocus, as he begins to attune into the ghost field, the first thing that he does notice is that tether that you talked about, something that you've seen with other people who have spirit animals, ghost dogs, essentially. That tether, it's strained. It's still attached, but it's strained. It's very not frayed, but it looks really incredibly thin and taut, and it pulls off into the direction of Old Northport. And it's like vibrating a little bit, and it's pulsating because it's being strained so much. So it's almost like it's representing how intense that strain is by just vibrating and pulsating a little bit. Every time that there's like a stretching or a tautness to it, it's it sends off a little spark of spectral energy, that's visible to you. But it gets, taunter and taunter and taunter as it heads into Old Northport in the direction. But when you first realize that, then you start to see that it's making a slow change and moving more towards the city. So it's like a slow, gradual move. You don't see Goat as a threat to you, and you think that you can pick him up, because you've seen when his energy is up and he's aggressive, right? And right now he is incredibly docile and very passive, and you can tell that based on the emotional energy that's kind of coming off of him. So you are able to kind of just come in and kind of pick him up and take him into your arms.
We need to move right now.
Agreed. And Grin is again holding Sky up, and like, just basically trying to get him to come back.
I'm fine.
Okay,
We should go now.
we're going now. Which way are we going? Hocus, do you have a lead on Sling, or should we just book it?
Go. And I point towards the city. Don't
We
even
go.
answer the question. I just go.
Oh, and one other thing which I want to do is while Grin is just talking and doing his thing, at one point he turns and Mercy puts him on the floor. Just clocks him, and otherwise they don't engage, they don't talk. He gets back up, nodding, and then you go.
I like her. All right, so I guess we all get going towards the city.
Yeah, we can run until Johnny recovers.
Well, so as you begin moving towards that direction, you become aware of more than just yourselves, and you become aware of your surroundings, and you realize that it's getting a little bit colder, and it's getting a little bit more misty and kind of rainy. That the rain is going from droplets to more of a steady light patter, and you can feel a cold wind sort of coming off from the void sea. This, and for anybody who's had experience on a ship, and Grin would, I think this is Grin, one of the situations where Grin would experience would come into play. This is typically representative of a storm coming in.
Oh boy, yeah, I'm with Hocus. We move fast. We get to the best cover we can find, and then we move through the city as slowly and as quietly and as invisibly as we can.
Okay, so you're making your approach back to the city, back to the gap in the lightning barrier.
Yeah, I imagine we're probably making our way through was it the eel farms, or what was it? That was
Radiant Energy Farms, both of them.
Radiant Energy. Okay, we're probably making our way through there.
So if you look at, so let's go back to the map real quick, and I'll show you on our newfangled, beautiful map that was acquired from some artist on Patreon who does this amazing freaking thing. Yeah, this thing. So the guy is still working on this. Like, he's filling in the details, as he goes more and more. Like, you'll see that 6 Towers and Night Market and Char Hollow are still not completely done. Got maps for individual locations in the city as well, and so we'll be using some of those at some point in the future, just to kind of represent what places look like.
I want to throw money at this guy. This is awesome.
I will actually post a link on Twitter to his Patreon. He's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. All right, so John Harper actually champions this guy for what he's doing. He loves the work that he's doing. Okay, so this is the lightning barrier tower that you guys took down. Right, so I'm pinging it on the map right now. You guys are down here, and it's about, it's a good distance. It's not a mile, but it's pretty far. It's a good distance.
Yeah.
Right? But so by the time you get to the area where you blew up the lightning barrier, you've had not aggressive encounters with spirits, but you've seen some weird things, right? And Hocus is beginning to get incredibly unsettled, going beyond that little hyper-aware circumstance, and you're hearing things off in the distance, right? Coming back from towards the south beyond Old Port, right? You're hearing things, just kind of whistling on the wind as the as the rain is kind of coming in for the storm. But as you approach, as you finally get into the proper area where the lightning barrier and the lightning barrier and the tower were, you find yourself seeing quite a chaotic situation. The carriage that you just sent back towards, laden with the crew, is currently being searched, as each of the individuals in that from that carriage are being held off to the side, and they are being brought in one by one into a tent off to the side over here that's been set up, and it's outside the lightning barrier, and there are Imperial troops kind of lining it. And Hocus, you recognize that there are Imperial whispers that are just kind of dispersed in between, for every group of, say, 3 or 5, There's also a whisperer there, and some of them, have their masks on, and some of them are just kind of looking off into the distance, and you realize immediately that they are very attuned to the situation around them. And there are a couple of spirit wardens, kind of weaving their way through the rubble just right behind them as you can see this going on. At the actual point where the lightning tower was, and the subsequent, there's the entry point essentially for what you were expecting. There are very clearly a squad of Imperial guards, Imperial army, who have their rifles at the ready, to take anything out that's coming in their direction. So as you begin to approach this, they immediately take note of you, and a squad begins to approach. It's a group of 5 Imperial Army individuals with a whisper who's wearing their spirit mask. How do you want to proceed?
I'm open to ideas.
You're going to have about 30 seconds to have this conversation because through the rain and everything else, and the swirling winds, it's a little dark over here. But when they finally notice your presence, they're going to come to you.
Okay.
And they're carrying electroplasm lanterns.
Yeah.
They're carrying light sources. They're carrying everything that's going to allow them to see you fully.
Okay. Question, because I don't think it was actually established. I thought at least some of us were going to stay on the carriage. It wasn't going to be just refugees.
I thought all of you were off the carriage.
So did I.
So I thought it was the entire party. Plus
That's fine.
Sling was going to be on the carriage.
Right.
And then
she's gone. So okay.
What do we do, guys? Fight or flight?
We have those. Do we have the spirit vials?
The 12?
Yeah, the 12.
I have them, yes.
Oh.
No, not Hocus. Me.
Oh, please.
I say we continue forward.
Can we?
It's too late to go back now, and we would risk everybody that we have already been risking everything for.
They're going to take us. They are going to take us.
What is the other option? We wait out here?
You got something in your pocket there, don't you, Hocus?
Of course.
Got 12 someone's.
I know that. They probably have a few as well.
All right.
It could give us a distraction.
Wait.
I could be distracting.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking smashing those bottles.
I'm thinking Sky's kind of like me. We don't want to be caught. This is a really bad idea.
Right now, we could simply be refugees coming off of that boat. I start hurling these things around and releasing angry spirits, we lose that status completely.
All right. Okay. We'll play it your way, Hocus. Okay.
Sounds like an interesting game.
Yeah.
Good luck getting our stories to match up.
Oh my god. Yeah. Okay, we're refugees. We came off the boat.
Yeah, but all the other ones have already been interrogated.
They will support our stories. That's why we chose them.
That's right. There we go.
But we didn't give them a story.
I did. I mentioned that while we were on the dock, while we were loading everybody up.
Okay.
We can flash back to it if you want.
No.
You could do a flashback, absolutely. If you think that that's an important piece, and this is a situation where you're still on the score. It's going to cost you 2 stress. Can you afford that?
Who?
You.
Me?
Because it would be your flashback, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I believe you when you say that you already did it, right? So I'm okay with not playing the flashback, but if you need to do something else with the flashback,
I'm fine with playing the flashback if you want.
Nah, I think I believe you. I don't remember you saying it, but I totally believe that you said it because you have a better recollection of what you said than I do. But so
I also mentioned it on Discord several times over.
Yes, you did.
Okay,
that was the plan.
Okay.
So
that's fine. We've got our stories to match up.
Yeah.
Okay. So
but if they try to disarm me, there'll be trouble.
Also, I was disguised. Ari was disguised before. At this point, we have to take off those disguises and have our real faces on, so we don't look like the people who blew up the thing, right?
I presumed we would have done that when we
Yeah,
left.
Yes.
I'm
Just
presuming
making
we
sure that's
don't.
established. Yes.
Because otherwise, when we got to the boat, everybody would be like, "Who the hell are you?"
Yeah.
And,
Why are we listening to your commands now? Like,
exactly. And then Hocus has put on his whisper garb, so he doesn't look like who he was
Right.
to begin with. So, are we good?
Yes.
We're good.
Let's go.
All right. Hocus immediately makes for the closest whisper that's coming towards them.
Okay. As you begin to kind of move forward, that person, she steps back like this, and all of the guns immediately, or all the soldiers immediately stop, and the guns are pointed at you, and they're telling you to halt.
We will hold. We are refugees from the boat. With those people there, we're not, too many of us to go on that cart. Now, as close as Old Northport and that pier are,
Mm-hmm.
the boat was on fire.
Absolutely, it was seen. Yes.
Okay.
So all the guns are pulled on you. The Whisper takes another step back and begins to attune a little bit, and it's obvious to you what she's doing. But at the same time, you also hear the marching, the hurried footsteps of two more squads kind of coming up to support them, this time without whispers, with guns drawn. And so you now have 15 rifles pointed in your general direction as that whisper begins to attune. And the one that's in charge, the one that's in front that takes the lead, says, "You will hold there for a second."
We will.
And the whisper kind of turns her head, kind of looks around, kind of looks back at the group that's currently being held back, turns back to you, and says, "In his pocket." And immediately, two of them move forward, guns still pointed at you, and begin to reach for the box with all the vials.
Shit.
What do you do?
No resistance.
So they begin to kind of manhandle you a little bit, but they're not abusing their power. These are Imperial officers. They're they're very well trained, and so they pull it out as they kind of separate you from it, and they bring it back, and they bring it back to the Whisper, and one of them's holding it to you, and you still have 13, or so holding it to her, and you still have 13 guns pointed at you as she opens it up, and you see her face go wide, and she's just.
Does she not have her mask on?
Oh no. Sorry, you're right. She does have her mask on.
Okay.
You see the body expression of her, like the shock. It's like it's clear that there's a little bit of a panic, and she looks at this and she says, "Take them." And they begin to kind of move slowly around you, surrounding in a circle, guns pointed at you. And the lead officer, the one that's in front, that's in charge, that says, "If you will come with us, we will not harm you."
No resistance from any of you.
Whatever you
Please
say,
lead
Captain.
on. Please lead on.
So
One hand, I'm still holding goat. So
right. So they slowly move you back towards the refugees, the group.
can I address the whisper real quick?
Sure can.
Okay. Since she's already attuned,
Mm-hmm.
you see the tether for this one. His mistress is still out there, making her way back. Please watch for her.
She looks at you, and again, the emotion on her face, or under in her body language, is one of surprise. And she removes her spirit mask, and you can see that she's got a disfigured face. She's a woman probably in her mid-30s and has seen a couple of cuts and slashes, and so it's caused a little bit of a sagging to the left side of her face, and so she's disfigured in that way. And she looks at you. She looks at the dog. She says, "You come with me." and the guards around you kind of break off a little bit and allow you to move towards her, but the rest of you are being, held.
Okay.
I sure hope there's a frisking.
Thanks for making it inappropriate. I love
Hocus,
it.
Hocus cannot help but sort of just and just sort of that break in the moment of tension is just like, okay, whatever, and moves forward. I will find you. And
Okay, so she begins to walk hurriedly, not even looking for you to follow her, but she moves forward very quickly towards the tent. And as you can see off to the one side, the refugees are all there except for two of them. You hear some conversation going on with what's going on in the tent. You hear the voice of Samandra and the blue coat explaining the situation. And they are trying to convey the story that you all agreed upon in respect to what they would say when you came back, when you came back to this. And there is a little bit of confusion because Samandra actually outranks whoever this is. And so she's talking very sternly to this particular person, but this person is having none of it because he is in charge of the breach that is the lightning barrier. And so his authority supersedes in this emergency situation. And so they're arguing back and forth as she's just trying to explain, the circumstances of the situation, that, she was with these refugees and they were being moved, and, just it's going on and back and forth. And so as you enter, you see a young officer, more full of himself, kind of arguing with her. And the blue coat looks over to you and just kind of shakes his head as the whisper brings you in. And the officer, as he sees you two enter, kind of stops for a second and says, "What's this?" And she moves up, whispers into his ear, and then steps back. And he looks at you and he says, "Why do you have a ghost dog? Those are illegal." "Where is its master?"
she is still outside the shield. She was one of the other remaining refugees upon the boat, bound for Eruvia. These people have told you. They were separated. He was curled up, whimpering in the dock. He did not know where she was. When I looked into the ghost field, I see a tether reaching off into the darkness. I cannot help her. I can watch over him until she gets back. She is making her way here, I feel. As for their legality, if you want to get into the technicalities of it, is not mine. And honestly, to be brutally honest, I had no idea that they were illegal. In Eruvia, they are not. I apologize for any transgression, but this was not my intention.
He looks down, looks at the paperwork in front of him, looks towards Samandra. "This doesn't make any sense. What is an officer of the Imperial Army doing on a refugee boat to Eruvia? None of this makes sense."
Can I tell what his rank is?
He's a lieutenant. And I believe Samandra was a captain or a major of some kind, right?
I think she was a captain. Actually, I think she was a captain.
So again, the argument that you heard as they were coming in, the yelling that was going on was about her rank versus superseding his, authority in this particular situation. So she was doing her damnedest to pull rank in a way and influence the circumstances for them to get back into. That was obvious as you were coming up.
Salmo Fastakman. Lieutenant. And he's saying this as though is like asking lieutenant, like, is that right? Is that what the rank is? As so questioning him, is that correct? Am I addressing you properly? Is the way Hocus says, Lieutenant.
He nods.
Perhaps my use of the language was not quite as polished as it should have been. When I say refugees, I mean refugees from the boat, not refugees on a boat going somewhere else.
That does not explain why an Imperial officer was on a boat outside without orders. It does not explain why a blue coat was outside. That does not explain why there are some Skovlander refugees along with a tavern owner. I mean, I've talked to a couple of these people. I've gotten word from others. It's a real interesting situation. So that in and of itself is odd, showing up at the location where a explosion happened that endangered all of the lives of Doskvol. But to see a boat burning in the distance, that was surprising. And why parked at Northport? Why?
Aren't there many boats parked
You're
in
not
that
there.
port?
You're not parked there.
No.
You're not there. So
Just no over wondering, like, were there many?
With respect, Lieutenant, if a problem broke out on your boat with fire licking every surface, would you continue to sail upon the void sea or put in at the closest possible safety point, regardless of how much danger that might put you in? It is certainly better than drown.
all of you are going to be held
I do not dispute that.
until we can determine. She needs to understand that because she continues to think that she is in charge here. Right now, I am charged with protecting this particular location until the temporary barrier can be erected by the Spark Rights. And until that happens, and until my whispers can check you all out thoroughly, none of you are moving inside.
This is despicable. Does he really think that he has enough time to just really come in here and do this to me? Sir, you're out of bounds.
I'm gonna have Ari make a fortune roll as Samandra.
Ooh.
So on your character sheet, there is a little option below friendly rivals, I believe it is. I'm not sure what it is on the slide. Let me double check.
While you're doing this, point of information or point of procedure or point of whatever we would say in parliamentary procedure.
Robert's rules.
Yeah, exactly. Are Samandra's stats the same as Ari's? Because if she's going to make a fortune roll,
No, this is one of those situations where it's not going to be based on any action.
Okay.
We're going to do the whole one for Sherlock, and then I want to talk about the pros and cons that go into this situation.
Okay.
Right. And so we'll build it off like that. Ari, on your sheet under Sly Friends, there is a button that says Roll Fortune. So go ahead and click on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to get one die for Sherlock. So let's talk about what works in your favor. One is amazing voice acting. I'm just going to give it to you an additional die specifically for amazing voice acting.
Irish, it kills, guys. It kills.
It's pretty amazing. What else, guys? What else works in your favor?
So she's an Imperial officer. If this were a role like actually from her, I imagine it would be command, and I imagine she would have like at least 3 dots in command.
You're absolutely right. So, but that's not the way the fortune roll is going to work, that she's going to get those 3 additional dots. It's going to play into the fact that she is a captain and she would have be an authority figure and have that power. And so that's definitely going to be an additional die for her. So right now that's 3 die. What else is going in your favor? I could see the argument of that Hocus getting involved.
And Hocus.
And the coordinated story that everybody kind of put together kind of fitting into as a 4th die.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else on a positive side that you can see what's going on that goes into this?
I don't know if what Hocus would say right now is a positive or a negative.
I'm only using it in the sense that you are telling the same story together.
Well, this would reinforce that story.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
No, I don't mean what he has said. I mean what he is about to say.
Oh. Okay.
So I don't know if you want me to just say it or not.
Well, go ahead, and then it'll apply to this
Okay.
to this role in some way that for what Ari's doing.
Okay, we'll see. Now, I do know that, or Hocus does know that she's a captain, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Or Grin would have at least
Right.
shared some of that information.
And I would have delivered to enough military personnel that I would know the ranks and whatnot.
Exactly.
Lived in Doskvol for 20 years, whatever. Captain, please. You, as an officer in the Imperial military, you know the regulations. If your positions were reversed and this was going on here, given the regulations, who has authority, you or him? Do not think with pride, think with regulation. Who has the position of authority in this case? The man is doing his job.
Face
a
of
minus die.
frustration, silence.
That's why I said I don't know if it would work in her favor or not. I mean, it does, but it doesn't.
Okay, so let's step back from the fortune roll for a second. Go ahead and respond, Ari. I think that I'm curious to hear what Samandra would say in that situation.
And the frantic typing begins.
I think he needs to learn a little bit more respect, at least. But... And she just stays silent at that, scowling. No, Joff, type faster.
I got nothing.
Okay, so I'm still because of the authoritative push that you made there, I still want you to make the roll, but I am going to remove one of those die specifically for what Hocus just said, and I'm not going to remove any other. I'm very curious to see how it plays out. I had another one, but it's like, no, I think that Samandra stepping up, and especially the way that you played that very short bit. That short bit was with so much authority that I felt the need that it's really all that needed to be said. So go ahead and roll it. Let's see what happens.
So that was 3, yes?
Yes, that was 3. And don't worry about the notes because it's going to prompt you for a note. Don't worry about that. Wow. Okay. So he watches this exchange. He looks over at the Whisper and he looks around, and for the first time you all notice an individual just kind of sitting off in the corner, sort of, just kind of in the shadows a little bit. And he just, the lieutenant looks over, makes direct eye contact with this person, and the person nods their head, and he says, all right. And it calls out to one of the Imperial Army officers or sergeants outside of it. And he says, I want you to move all of them inside of the protective barrier. I want you to hold them there as we continue to secure this point until somebody can come to independently verify that they are who they say they are. I want records from the docks. I want records from the dock master. I want to talk to her superior officer. I don't care. But get them to a safe place so that we can monitor them. Now, if you'll excuse me, and he moves back to talk to the Whisper, and just turns his back to you, almost dismissively.
For what it is worth, thank you.
He was being a right prick.
And as you say that, he just goes. You can see he's turned back from you, and you can see that he's going like this, and he takes a breath, and he continues his conversation with her. And as you're kind of exiting, the person in the corner, you realize is dressed in plain clothes, but clearly has some presence of authority, but you can't really kind of make out all of the person's features because they're kind of sitting in a dark corner. But it's very obvious that they're a small, sort of, thin man, just kind of looking up and watching each of you as you go, and you can basically see the reflection from the eyes, but that's about it. And so you exit that tent.
Kind of bow my head to the whisper as we go.
What color are his eyes?
You can see a glint off the white in his eyes, right?
All right.
No, it's not a a Tycherosi, it's not a demon, it's not any of that. You can just see the glint, but you see that his presence, definitely commands difference, right? There is something about this that has an authority, but it's a very quiet authority, right? And so as you were escorted out, there are a group of guards that kind of move around you and kind of escort you to what essentially is the rubble of where the lightning barrier was. And there's a small path that's been cleared, about 2 people wide, that they can move you through. And this is the first time you really get to see the devastation that is the lightning tower destruction, right? It is this massive rubble that just has kind of collapsed into the Doskvol proper, right, into the city itself. And so amongst that, you can see bodies, body parts and pieces. Not many at first, but as you get farther in, you see the group of apprentices, kind of buried, under essentially what would be the 3rd or 4th, story of the tower.
No. No, sorry. Hocus doesn't do that.
God, I hate you so much right now.
You're welcome.
So, you kind of move past this, and there is this. There are these weird, like, rods that have been placed a good 20 or 30 feet from you, and there is this shimmer that's going on, and you realize that it's a temporary lightning barrier has been kind of set up at ground level. Does not reach to the heights that the other lightning barriers actually reach to. It does not tower 10 stories tall, but it's enough that with these poles that have been put into the ground, you can see that there's a generator sort of off, just off to the side, a little bit in the distance, at a couple of tents that have been set up and some carriages and everything else. And you see that there are more soldiers kind of queued up there, but it's a very small contingent based on your awareness of how many soldiers are actually in the Doskvol proper over on White Shore, I think it is the name of the district. White Crown. Thank you. So they escort you through the rubble and kind of bring you to, so that all 20 of the refugees plus the 5 of you, or the 4 of you, are brought to the essentially this smaller opening between 2 of the temporary lightning barrier poles, and they shut it off, and they escort you in quickly and turn it back on, and there's an exchange, and you are all led to a staging area where there is like a tent. And as you were kind of escorted inside, you're kind of carried off onto one corner of what is essentially a large, sort of military type tent that can have, somewhere between 50 to 60 people. And there are various individuals that are being treated with burns and, crushed bones. And you've got, physicers kind of moving through, and other people, kind of offering support. And occasionally you see some conversations about, moving on from the flesh, and often one corner is a spirit warden who is very much at the ready with his spirit hook, kind of just standing there and watching the situation and kind of looking around. And under his robes, you can see that he has spirit vials. Some of them are full. Some of them are not. And he is at the ready, just kind of in the corner. And when you look at him, His robes are incredibly nondescript and match almost every other spirit warden you've ever seen. And his mask is very, very ornate and intricate, but it's the exact same ornate, intricate, facade of a mask that you see on every other spirit warden.
So that you can't tell them apart. And his spirit hook is the exact same design, and has the exact same, affectation in respect to the little flourishes on the hook itself. And he's just kind of standing there. And so they lead you off into this one corner, all 25 of you or 24 of you, and just kind of post a couple of guards there and say, "You will wait here, settle." And the rest of the guards kind of move out. And so now, when you came in, there weren't there before. In addition to the two guards, Imperial Army guards that are standing next to you, there are two at the door, and one of them is speaking to the spirit warden. How do you want to proceed with this, guys?
So, where are we right now? Are we in a building or just...
You're in a large tent.
A tent.
A tent that is erected inside of the temporary barrier just outside of where the lightning tower rubble is. So essentially, if you're looking at it on the map, I'm going to ping it on the map. It's going to be right about here. So you were very close to the radiant energy farms, the radiant energy plants, and the eel reefs.
Okay. Yes. Did we see what they did with our cart?
They left your cart outside of the lightning barrier because they could not actually get it through, because the path that they took you through the rubble was sort of cleared to be about the size, again, of two individuals walking side by side, two humans walking side by side. Otherwise, there's no way that they could get the cart. They might be able to negotiate the goat through that, but the cart's not coming through right now.
Did they disarm us?
They did not disarm you yet.
Good.
Who's watching us in this room?
4 guards and a spirit warden. 2 guards right next to you. 2 guards at the tent entrance, and the spirit warden appears to be looking in your direction, but you can't really tell because he's wearing a mask. He does occasionally kind of look around at what's going on with the physicers that are moving from, and the essentially the assistants that are kind of helping, but he's keeping a constant eye on you. His mask's gaze comes back in your direction often.
Mm-hmm.
And with my ghost mind trait, I'm sure I can tell when he's looking specifically at me.
Oh yeah. You get that sense a lot. Your spidey senses are tinkling often.
The first time he does it, I was simply bowing in almost a deference, kind of way. That's the
okay.
only way I do it.
Okay. He does occasionally take very specific interest in goat. So you guys are in a safe spot inside of the lightning barrier right now, but you are definitely not out of danger yet.
No. Well, gonna sit pretty here, or
and I'm assuming that any conversation we're having is whispered out of the corner of our mouths.
Right. I think there's enough of us there that we can probably at least have some conversation without being too...
Probably plenty of groaning and coughing and...
Mm-hmm.
The tent is definitely, along with a smell of human flesh and body waste and that kind of a thing, because of the physical aspects of this. There's going to be a fair amount of noise too, as there's going to be commotion going on. So even when the guards are looking in your general direction, there's always something that's kind of distracting them, right? To kind of look off to the side, or because they hear something and they will jump back and look. So there's definitely an opportunity for you guys to speak without being focused on 100% of the time.
Okay, I say we dig a tunnel.
It's a tent.
So Hocus is just sitting there penning going, yes, that's a brilliant plan.
Oh boy.
Only 4 of them. You've taken out more than that at once.
Well, I could take them out, but there's more within earshot. But we can't wait. We wait for people to verify who we are. We're doomed. We fight. We're doomed. I'd love a third option. I'll fight. I will very happily fight. And I'll take down a hell of a lot of them. And then maybe you guys could run. Huh.
What if each one of these lovely little guards here suddenly genuinely believed that they had to move us elsewhere?
Can you sway that many?
I've also got a few powders.
I don't know if that's enough for all of them, though. Not quite next to each other.
If we could sway someone higher up that would actually be able to command our move, that would be great. But we may have lost that opportunity.
Not if I cause a bit of trouble.
You could cause a bit of trouble, or we do wait. We do wait until someone arrives. Eventually, someone's going to want to talk to us, and that someone's going to be higher up. And if they talk to you first, Ari...
I think the first question they'll have is for Samandra, though.
Yeah.
I don't know how good her answer is going to be.
I don't know. She can look after herself, but when it comes down to if it's me versus her career, I'm sorry, Sky. The career always came first. The Imperials always came first.
That's
So-
what I
What if
figured.
I was Samandra? I have disguises.
Oh, I see.
Is
Okay.
Samandra with us in here, actually?
Yeah.
She is.
Okay.
Oh, good. So
that's not gonna
Samandra,
work.
Samandra and Mercy are still around. That's great.
Was Samandra commanded to stay in this place too, or?
Yes, she was.
We all were.
Okay.
Including the blue coat, including everybody else, the refugees. Everybody was brought
Everybody-
into the tent
everybody
with
you
you,
guys all love.
That was-
Yeah. Okay.
and was
Yeah.
put into. Right.
This is something that, Alex, you would not be able to answer in an Irish accent. So, Johnny, I need you to do an Irish accent. But,
Well, maybe I'll just
Basically-
message Alex and let her know what to say.
okay, well, I think Grin needs to talk to Samandra in front of everyone and basically be like, what are you going to do?
No, I think that's a perfectly good opportunity for Alex if she wants to play this out. Hocus or Trendane has done the same thing.
Yeah.
With other characters, so I'm okay with watching what she decides and then going from there.
And I'm not asking, what are you going to do to fix this? I'm literally, what are you going to do? Because well, you have a choice to make, Samandra, the way I see it. And
Right.
it's not a happy ending. I'm not asking you to betray your people. But
Betray my people.
I'm not asking you to betray your people. I want to know what you're going to do. Because I'm ready to... If I draw my blade, people will die. I will die. You'll be fine. And I'd like my friends to be fine. I don't really want to die. I don't have a way out of here. I don't think we have a way out of here. Depending on what you're going to do, Samandra, kind of dictates what I do next.
How does your dying help anyone?
Well,
We need you. I'm loath to admit it, but we need you.
mm-hmm. I'm quickly checking for Mercy. Please tell me she's not listening.
She's pissed at you. She's at the other side
Oh yeah.
of the group right now. She's incredibly pissed at you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this isn't a self-sacrificing thing. This is how do we get out of the tent? It's math.
Well,
If
it's
any
not
of-
by you being a martyr, that's for sure.
Okay, then give me a third option, because we either make a jailbreak, we wait to see what happens, or I mean, I think your sway has extended as far as it can, and your career may be over regardless. So I still think you have a choice to make, and I'm sorry for putting you in this position. I was trying to save you. I was...
Always are, Jinx Gotifer. You always are.
Oh, that name.
Mm.
And Grin's going to look at Sky and Hocus. I don't know what we do.
Speedy, check Discord.
Well, I guess we followed you this far.
I'm not running a...
Zoom whispers.
God. Okay.
We followed you this far. And like you said, everything's gone otherwise.
Answer that.
Everything's
What?
ruined.
Would
You
you
guys- You guys need a moment?
No, let them finish.
Go.
He's being a jerk. Just let him finish.
Do you know what's going on, Alex? Because I don't know what's going on.
No, it's completely over my head.
You're fine. Go on, guys. Please continue.
I've already lost everything. And we followed you this far. I might as well be able to try and leave with my life. And I'm not so sure waiting around here will allow me that.
I heard jailbreak. You all heard that, right? Okay, and Grin's still going to look between Hocus and Sky. And his arm is literally hovering over his coat. Like, I need an alternative.
We need a distraction.
I can do that. And
No. We need a distraction from the outside. Or we need something to get these guards out of here. Or at the very least, distract that whisper.
unless Sling magically arrives, which, I'll be honest, that would kind of be her style. She could do that. But we're on our own. There is no outside distraction. There is just more people coming to interview us and interrogate us and, let's be honest, torture us.
As you say the word torture, you see a little bit of commotion at the entrance of the tent as the whisper comes in and begins to speak to the spirit warden.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And this in no way is prompted by anything that Speedy may or may not have asked me about. I was already going to have this happen anyways, but I just figured I'd mention that out loud.
So cryptic. It's so cryptic.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, do you remember the scene in Lord of the Rings? Madame Gandalf, you may have heard of this film. Where Frodo pulls the ring out of his pocket and he's sitting there kind of like, and the ring wraith you just sort of see him turn. That's when, as soon as the whisper comes in and starts talking to that's exactly what Hocus does. He's still got his mask on.
And it's not just Hocus's head. He just swivels.
Yes.
Just the whole
thing just pivots,
Huh.
Hocus, what's going on?
The exchange is incredibly brief between the whisper and the spirit warden. And the spirit warden, or the whisper, then eventually leaves. The spirit warden begins to focus on Sky when he's looking over at the group.
Uh-oh.
Sky clutches his chest a little bit with a vial hanging around his neck.
Mm. Oh.
Now you've caught up.
Well,
Under his jacket, but clutching.
shit. I guess we're gonna have a fight.
You wanted a distraction. Here it comes. You know.
So
Metagaming. What if Speedy released Sky Sister?
I thought about that, and I was just the Sky would not want to do that.
No, he wouldn't. But
But if Hocus recommended it,
what if Hocus recommended it, and while Hocus was recommending it, Grin punched the Sky and took the vial and threw it at the ground? But you know,
option.
I would think that spirit vials
They're tough.
would be tough enough so that there would have to be a lot of force. They wouldn't be fragile vessels.
hey now, Spirit Vial versus Jinx Godiffer.
No, Spirit Vial
You have
versus
that ability.
Brown.
Okay, so this is the situation you guys are in. You now think that if you can get a distraction, Samandra will escape with you. You now have to figure out a distraction. Obvious that the Spirit Warden is now taking an interest in Sky for some reason. More than likely, his sister. He is the only one walking around with a vial, a spirit in essentially a spirit vial. So
Ari sees Sky kind of like looking down and like clutching onto the vial, and she places like a hand under his chin to bring his eye contact to her and say, "Do not let this be the day that the sky falls."
wow.
But
I think you should get an extra XP tick just for that.
Wow.
she's got her little smirk on her mouth, like she knows that she just made a terrible pun.
If only you knew.
Okay, guys, you gonna make a move, or do you want the next event to happen?
Remember, the point of the Spirit Wardens is to keep ghosts from going wild.
Oh,
She's under control.
Right.
You may let her go. She is no more danger than the ones that he controls.
Certainly, I like to think so, but I don't know how kindly he's taken to having her around. You seen that?
Well, so
face?
here's let me add a little context on what's going on here, because Hocus just made a really interesting point. You were not focused on when you were outside by the Whisper. It's only after you were in a controlled situation that it was mentioned, but the Spirit Warden would already know that you have your sister, because he would still be looking in the ghost field, paying attention to it. So Hocus's point is incredibly valid. Your sister's in a controlled situation. It's obvious that she's there to him, but nothing is happening yet, right? There's no reason for danger. He's at the ready, but he's not. So he's focusing on you for whatever she said, but he's not moving towards you.
Okay.
So that's to help reinforce what Hocus is saying to Sky to calm his fears. So just from a metagame perspective.
I mean, what are we gonna do? We need to get past them.
For the moment, we need to breathe.
Well,
To think clearly, you know what I mean.
could we
Do
just,
not rush this. Go ahead.
could we just leave out the back? This is a tent, not strong walls holding us.
no, I could literally cut a door.
I mean, these men have guns, but
It's
with
fair
enough
to assume.
distraction.
It's fair to assume there's more guys with guns.
True.
I don't think we're fighting our way out of this. Again, I don't have another option.
When we came in, when we were being led in, Was
Mhm.
there any indication of what the area around the tent, like if we said we cut a hole in that wall or we go under that wall?
So there were a couple of tents. You were led to the largest one. This was clearly a staging ground outside of the dark and the wet and the cold, specifically for dealing with the injured or potentially the dead. That's why the spirit warden is there.
Mhm.
There were 2 other tents that you could see that were much smaller, and you, based on your experience outside of the temporary lightning barrier, you would assume that those were either command or logistics of some kind and coordination, right? There was obviously some Sparkrites who were managing the temporary generator and the temporary lightning barrier that had been established, and there was a good amount of soldiers kind of scattered around, but not a large amount. So about the same size of the group that you saw outside of the lightning barrier, which was about 5 squads of 3 to 5. So somewhere between 20 to 25 people.
More specifically, my question is, like, if we were to either go through or under the back wall of the tent, are there any other tents or soldiers behind that?
No, there is an open area behind that leading to what you generally would expect to be the eels, the eeleries, or the radiant energy farms.
Right. And I'm sure Grin would have made note of that, tactician that he is,
Mm-hmm.
as would Samandra and Mercy.
The
Yeah.
the fact that I'm going to have to I need a better voice. I need a voice for Grin so that you know when it's me and it's Grin.
Why don't you go with something like this?
I'd considered it.
Oh,
Um,
that would be just delightful. All right, Steam, you're taking a back seat. I got a new boyfriend now.
Jinx Gotifer.
Don't say it like that. I'll jump out of this frame right down into your neck. Right? Just, never mind. Just one.
The fact that Jinx is hesitant to fight means that even he thinks the odds are stacked. If here we go. If we go out the back of the tent, it's Darth Maul, and we run across their field, we're dead. They will gun us down. We don't walk away from this. But we wait. I need a third choice, guys.
We need to
Because
make
otherwise I'm just gonna go for that spirit warden. Because I'll be honest, I've never fought a spirit warden, and I'm kind of curious.
Wow.
I can virtually guarantee you it will be the last thing you ever do.
I know.
I think we need to take these guys out without making too much of a ruckus.
So as you're having this conversation, you see another lieutenant walk in and walk back towards you, kind of have a conversation very quickly with the 2 guards that are standing there. And when he's done, he kind of looks around and says, "All right, who's willing to speak for everybody here?"
Samantha.
Wow!
I'm with Samantha.
Team Samantha.
Your people here, all of you, are going to be moved very shortly. We're going to put you on some carts, and we're going to get you to someplace safe where we can verify what's going on. You will be under guard, but you will be shown the respect that an Imperial officer deserves. I understand that there's some confusion about the conflict. I can't speak to that until things are verified. You will be under my charge, but you will not be treated unfairly. Are these terms acceptable to you while we figure this whole thing out?
Aye, sir.
You will be allowed to keep your weapons and any other equipment as long as you promise that there will be no conflict. He says, okay, prepare your people. It will be in the next 15 minutes. And he begins to walk out.
Sir.
And he turns and he looks at you. And when he looks at you, this guy's got a lot of authority. This guy's on the fast track. It's obvious. He's nothing like the guy that's been sequestered outside, kind of taking orders, even though he's supposed to be in charge.
I do not mean to impose myself upon this. If you say that we are allowed to keep our equipment, there was a container that was taken from me.
That is not for discussion right now.
May we discuss it at some point?
You may discuss it when you begin to answer the questions that are going to be asked of you when we get you someplace a lot more safe. Right now, we are dealing with things here, and we need the space to bring in more people who can deal with the specific set of circumstances. As somebody who wears the garb that you do, I think you understand what I mean.
I do, and I thank you. And I will acquiesce.
And so he continues to move out, and because you there's a moment of silence as you kind of hear. There's a moment of silence as you begin to kind of spread the information, and you're able to, you're not having hush whispers, and there's not a lot of intensity going on. You begin to hear that there are more goats and carriages that are kind of pulling up outside and around you, right? And there's a lot more activity, and there's a lot more yelling. It's obvious that there's more going on outside. So do you guys just want to wait the 15 minutes and be escorted out, or do you want to take a different step in action?
At this point, I'm leaning towards the going with the flow.
Yeah. I think we go for it, and we got to take those carts. It's the only fast way out of here.
That is
Wait.
going with the flow.
Okay, so does that mean that you're going to basically
After we're
back and go?
Let's see
After
what
all.
happens, and let's see if these carts are armored, and let's see if we have an opportunity to push them over and run away.
Speaking of,
Run.
at some point, I'm sure that Hocus would say, and don't ask about our cart.
Yeah. Oh, I left my booze in there. Ugh. Wait, hang on, sorry. I left my booze in there.
You
We
will
lost.
have to learn to go without.
Dang.
Okay.
Nice. Will we ever see PG tips again?
No, he said the goat can make it through the thing, just not the cart.
Yeah, there's not enough space for the cart to be able to make it through to navigate, because it's
but
not
will
just
we
like
ever get it back?
I'm not carrying the goat.
At this point, we have no
We'll
headquarters.
get more goats.
So
Well, anyways,
poor Sling.
We'll get another goat that looks like that goat, and we'll call it.
And we just won't tell
We
Sling.
won't tell Sling.
you know she'll know. She knows every inch of that goat in a way you can never. Wait, let me.
Oh,
So 15 minutes pass, and in that time, you begin to hear more and more commotion outside, and you hear a couple of carriages pull up. Along with that, a physiker is kind of moving around a body and is just shaking his head, and he's trying to do something, and he's calling for help and shaking his head. And finally, he looks over at the spirit warden, and the spirit warden steps up immediately and moves incredibly quickly, and there is this swiping motion. And then he turns, and you don't see him what he does for a second, but as he turns around again, you can see that he's placing another filled vial onto his belt as he brings his robe around and kind of over the belt under, and he takes his position back, and he just kind of stands there. And then the lieutenant walks back in and says, "It's time to go." And as you're beginning to walk by, the spirit warden is watching all of you and paying very close attention to Sky. And as Hocus walks by, he nods to you in a clear sign of respect. And you step outside into a cacophony of noise and chaos as the logistically. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, real quick question. This physicker, this doctor, was he like murdering this guy in some weird and creative way and getting his jollies on it? Or, no, probably not. Okay, never mind. just checking.
Is he administering lure?
Is he administering lure?
I know.
No.
So, as you're beginning to walk outside into this cacophony of circumstance, as there are more and more arriving, you can see that there are trains and coming out, or not trains, but like a train of carriages that are coming in with their goats, kind of leading them in and getting moved off to the side. As you see the fields around the three tents that have been set up start to fill up, as you know, Sparkrights begin to jump down and begin to kind of look at the temporary bear, and there's some communication, and more Imperial soldiers are stepping down, and they're starting to set up tents and put logistically, a set of situations together, kind of just trying to take over and organize the circumstance in this situation. You are led out, and as you were led out, the group, the two soldiers that were positioned with you in there are kind of following up at the rear. And as you step out, a couple of more kind of join the group and kind of move with you, and they place you on 3 different carriages. The group of you, I would assume, or let me take a step back and ask this question. Do you intentionally group yourself together as the 4 of you? Or do you make a plan to, do you try to navigate this in some way, shape, or form? The lieutenant seems to be just kind of, being very matter-of-fact about this, and the soldiers are just kind of listening to him and saying, okay, we need so many in this cart, and then in the second cart here, and then the third cart there.
But they don't seem to be trying to split us up in any specific fashion.
No, they are just, Samandra gave her word that there would be no trouble, and so he's operating under the pretense that there is not going to be trouble at this point.
Kayla, that might be a little bit difficult at this point. Just saying, I know which one we'd take down, but no.
Well, Trendane, tell us which one you take down.
The next one up the chain that we were going to take, our other option.
Oh, okay. I thought there was a joke in there. I missed it.
No. Why would you think do I seem like a joking kind of person? Really?
No, not at all. I don't know what you're talking about at all.
Thank you. I know. That's another XP point for me. All right.
All right. So they're loading you. So do you guys navigate yourself in any way particular? Do you want to be on the 3 different carts? Do you want to be all on the same cart? How do you want to do this? Because they're starting to organize this in such a way. Do you want to position yourself for the first cart, for the last cart? What are you doing here? There's an opportunity here for you to have a little bit of control on an otherwise really contained situation.
Are we trying to just get ourselves out of the situation, or are we trying to get all 20 odd people?
There is a good likelihood.
Us.
There's a good likelihood that if we were to make a break for it, the rest, wherever they're going, wouldn't be punished for our actions, but I can't guarantee that.
Moreover,
I don't think it matters much anymore. We can't really get away with all of them.
And Grin's actually thinking, because Samandra made that verbal promise, and unfortunately, I think Grin is going to uphold it, which means no trouble, because, yeah.
What if you were to just knock her out so she doesn't get implicated?
Oh god,
Seems
I can't
like
punch
you're
her.
revolted against her.
I can't knock her out. Someone else would have to knock her out, and then
it's funny. It's not like you have another person there, and I'm gonna meta and be a GM.
Oh no!
It's not like Mercy might not have issues with her or anything.
And Hocus, you have seen, carries a very large leather sap with him, so it's not like Mercy couldn't take it back and just put it back.
Actually, okay, again, metagaming. She would hate Grin for it, but that might save her life. Because then we look like the criminals, and if if she's angry at me, she might reveal everything, which would protect her and potentially everyone else, all the innocents, and us bad people could run away.
Or she might just understand and not reveal anything about you.
No, I don't think she would understand.
And moreover, we, the criminals, are the only ones who are technically lying about having been on that boat and being refugees from that boat. Everybody else, their stories match because they match, and they're true.
The other thing is that Samandra, I mean, Alex had Samandra say, or Samandra did say that she was willing to leave, which kind of makes Jinx want to knock her out. And because it wouldn't work and she wouldn't be happy and she would eventually.
I like the fact that you said Jinx wants to knock her out. You didn't say Grin wants to knock her out. Nice
I stick with that. Yeah. Okay. And it's funny. I've had metagaming. I'm trying to make a distinction between Grin and Jinx because they've become two different people, and Jinx is the bloodthirsty one.
I think it sounds good to me. I think it sounds like you're keeping your bargain with Samandra.
Yeah.
Because then she's not breaking her promise.
No.
And overall, that means that, maybe initially she might be kind of angry because, well, you knocked her out. But I think she would understand in the long term.
Mm-hmm.
I vote for the four of us trying to get our own cart.
Mm-hmm.
And allowing Samandra, with a telling look and a nod, to get another cart.
So, I would say that this entire conversation probably, I mean, from a metagame standpoint, probably happened in those 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I think that you guys have plenty of room to figure out a plan that makes sense, and we'll just call that flashback. But it's not going to cost you anything because essentially you had plenty of time, you had plenty of opportunity to figure out what your real intent is. So I just need to know now. It sounds like the four of you are going to get on one cart and try to make that it's only the four of you on this one cart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
If we cannot, if they demand that we take other people on the cart with us, I would say the blue coat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who else?
Maybe Mercy.
Nah. You don't want... That seems like a bad idea. The second we try and fight back, she'll probably fight against Grin.
I thought that her issue with Grin was that she was pissed at him for putting her in that situation, but that they were otherwise...
Well, right, but it's like, now Grin promised to be good to Samandra, but not to Mercy, but he promised to be good, and now he's causing more trouble. She just wants to get this over with, because she, in her mind, probably didn't really do anything wrong.
Right.
That's a fair point.
It's so
She
ironic.
would just like to get the interrogation over with. And
All we tried to do was save them. We were just trying to save everyone.
But remember, she's a Scovelander.
Yeah.
She has been under the boot of the Imperials before, right?
She has so many reasons to loathe Samandra.
She has so many reasons not to want to be in this situation just by sheerly being, her ethnic background and her experiences as a child of the Unity War.
Yeah, I think she comes with us. Samandra is safer with the Imperials. Mercy is safer with us. The blue coat, he should probably come with us.
Blue coat sounds good.
Blue coat and Mercy. Let's do it.
So that's going to be 6 of you. So it's going to be 4 of you plus Mercy, plus the blue coat. And I am assuming you're still clutching Goat in your arms.
Oh, no, I snapped his neck like 20 minutes ago. Yes, of course.
I'm sorry. Louise is watching us. I'm so sorry.
I know she is.
I'm so sorry in advance.
That's why I don't want you to tell her that I actually threw Goat on the person that the Spirit Warden was hooking, so both ghosts are in that one vial. Yeah, they're actually playing fetch inside the Spirit Warden bottle. It's really cool.
Lulu's done. She's left.
You can't leave. You're not here.
She's suddenly like, you know those letters I've been intending to write.
Find a new drug. We can make a new one. You shut your mouth.
All right.
Besides, we know the guy that makes the stuff. So,
well, see, Sling is going to go off and do her own thing on her own fourth crew, and she's going to get hooked on something new called Hollow.
oh. Which is just drinking acid, and it just melts your inside. So anyway.
All right. So you guys, so the six of you are kind of, so which card are you taking? Or which card are you maneuvering to? I mean, because you guys clearly have a plan in respect to...
Clearly.
Well, no, you have a plan about who should be involved in the action if there's going to be any action.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the easiest one to be able to steal away would be the last one, right? It's at the trail end. Everything would be going ahead. I can always make it so that we're like delayed in some way that we have to go on the last one.
Okay.
I'm with you on being in the last cart. It's either first or last. I think last probably.
I'm totally letting down Scotland Daddy. I forgot.
Well, Daddy, so he, yeah, I need to look back through my notes at his name. He is very much, again, when he walked with you all towards Lightning Barrier, he made sure that his son was safe and secure. He would catch wind of what you guys are doing, but he would definitely protect his son. And I think even Mercy would feel a little protective over the young Scotlander, right? So they're going to focus on surviving this.
Okay.
Because the child is only just coming of age in the Scotland culture, you know, and is not ready to be a full-on man yet, basically.
Right.
How many not us people are there on the cart with us, like guards and whatnot?
So as they begin to they follow you along, you all maneuver in a way that allows you to kind of be in the back cart. And so what you see is there are they're kind of open carts with benches in the front, and they've got you loaded into, and these are essentially kind of open they're not canopy, they're open troop transport kind of a things. And so they load the first group in, and there's the driver up in the front with a soldier that's posted, and the soldier has a pistol and is obviously brandishing the pistol. They're kind of like sitting there, and they're on their lap, and so it's like the pistol is in their hand, on their lap, on one of their legs, kind of a thing. And then they load in the group, and so since there's 20 of you, and there are 14 essentially being loaded into, or there are 14 that are going to be loaded into the first two carts. They try to do it evenly, whether 6 or 8, depending upon how it works out. But at the back of the cart, when the rest of the cart is loaded, at the back of the cart, the first cart, there are 2 more soldiers that step up. One with, both with blades and pistols, but the pistols are holstered and the blades are on their lap.
So we've got the driver, the guard with the pistol, and then at the back of the cart we have 2 guards with blade and pistol.
With blade and pistol, blades out, pistols holstered.
I'm going to kind of, as we're getting closer to the thing, can sort of nudge at Ari and say, as close as you can to the front bench.
Yes, sir. And she does exactly that.
Okay. So as they move on to the second cart, the first cart is loaded. They're getting situated. The second cart is being loaded up. They're trying to motion you to get as many onto that second cart, but the 6 of you are able to play it off enough that you're going to group into the third cart. And so the second cart, again, has 6 people with the two guards at the back, and then the driver and the guard at the front, or the driver and the soldier at the front. And as you load up into the third, the lieutenant comes back and kind of, gives you the once over as he's walking along. He walks around the cart, walks to the other side, proceeds to the front cart, has a brief exchange with Samandra. And then there's a whistle and a call, and the first cart begins to move. And in short order, the subsequent 2 carts laden with all of the refugees begin to move on as the third cart just kind of falls up in the train. Now, in the process, what they do is they take you through. Hold on a second. Let me pull up the name because I always forget the districts when they're not actually on the freaking map. God damn it. Where'd it go? So they pull you through, what is it? Not Char Hollow, Barrow Cleft. So you go essentially along the, what is that? The western side? No, that's the, whatever. I'm just going to cling it on the map. The western side through this field here where there are still more coming in the train of carriages kind of coming in with laden with equipment and men to work. And you hear, as you're kind of moving into to this, you hear the peal of bells off in the distance, and all of you have been in Doskvol long enough to know that these bells have only rang a couple of times, and they represent martial law. And martial law is being established all over the city. So as you begin to move out of this field area, you come onto Barrow Cleft and find yourself being pulled into essentially the city proper from the outskirts, and they begin to move you towards the east here. Yes, this way.
No.
They begin to move you. They begin to move you in an easterly direction as they begin to take you through essentially where the Eeleries and the Radiant Energy Farms kind of are broken up by this main pathway leading from Barrow Cleft towards what you all know as Iron Hook Prison.
Right. We want to do this well before we get close to that. Probably
Yeah,
as soon as we make that turn.
You've got about 10 minutes before you actually get there because it's a slow moving, because there's a lot of traffic and there's a lot of commotion, especially because the bells are ringing, indicating martial law.
Okay.
So I gotta move fast.
Yeah, Grin looks at Ari and nods towards the driver and the guard with the gun, and a look at Sky and Hocus, and then he looks down at his coat and he nods at the two at the back.
So I guess Ari's going to kind of shimmy on over a little closer to one of the drivers and just kind of look him up and down with a little bit of a knowing eye. And she's going to start running her finger along the gun. And just
wow.
I haven't seen one of these before. Would you care to tell me a little bit about it?
The soldier is incredibly uncomfortable as he kind of looks at you.
He's gay.
All the NPCs are gay.
Yes.
Regardless of his sexual status, he looks at you and he's a little uncomfortable and taken aback. And as you're doing this, he kind of looks back, and one of the guards moves forward as the other one is gripping its blade incredibly tight. The second one kind of moves forward, sheathes the blade for a second, and begins to kind of pull you back to sit and says, "No talking."
I move.
That's how I prefer it to be.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So you move. How do you move, Grin?
With the
Hocus
guy
just kind of goes, "Ugh."
with the guy leaning forward. The guy leaning forward and putting an arm on Ari to push her back. I drive my kukri through his gut. And
Can
then
I make a recommendation of not gut and instead throat so he can't scream?
I'm okay. I can actually put it straight up under his chin.
I like that idea.
Okay, I'll do that. So thunk. And then, well, since
Ari will use this distraction to use her blade and put it in the other guy's throat that she's right next to.
Wait a second. When Grin, did you say just up against or up into and through into the brain case?
Through.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Then Ari's action seems much more appropriate.
Yeah, and then depending on how much I can also do, that second guy with his blade out, I need to get the kukri back out and just put it in his freaking chest or in his face.
Okay, what do you want, Johnny? You keep trying to interrupt. What do you want?
I don't know. I just want to resolve some actions here and kind of figure out what actually happens for you guys. Okay, so as the first soldier from the back, the first guard, moves up and puts a hand on Ari, Grin pulls the blade immediately and just kind of shoves it up. All right, I'm going to have you roll something.
Yay! Because I'm good at rolling.
Well, you're also good at killing.
Yeah.
Especially blue coats, but these are Imperial Army soldiers.
He's never killed any of those before.
No.
No, he hasn't killed anybody killed any of them in this game.
No.
Now, granted, this guy's young. He's not going to be a skilled, a soldier. So it's the kind of thing where you get to move first and take care of it. But I just, I'm highlighting that. So,
can I ask another question real quickly? Is it possible to get from the back to like the driver's seat from this car?
Well, yeah, it's open. So, unlike the other cart that we were talking about, specifically related to, or the carriage related specifically to your armored carriage, right? So that had a cover, on top of it, and so it had a roof, and there was a back, and it closed off and everything. This is an open cart. It's essentially a transport, right? So there's essentially two benches in the back, and you have easy access to the driver and the one soldier / guard that's sitting on the seat with the driver, which is why Ari was able to kind of tease him a little bit.
Remember the beginning of Skyrim? That kind of wagon.
Yeah.
What's Skyrim?
Get out. Leave this house right now.
That's something that Sky doesn't like to talk about.
He doesn't like to talk about it, but he likes it.
Anyways.
Yes, he likes it anyways he can get.
Okay.
And people think I'm the bad
Sky is
one.
also ready, like at the front to act.
Okay, so wait a minute. All right, so let's resolve what happens with Joff first, with Grin first, because Grin is making his move as this person, this individual is putting his hand and physically moving Ari back into position. So you've got your kukri and you're stabbing him. You're going right up into the chest or right into the throat.
Into the throat.
What are you rolling? What are you rolling?
I am rolling skirmish.
Okay.
Which I have 4 pips in now.
Okay. Fair. Yeah, actually, we need to talk about that. I think you need to take a crew upgrade to 4 pips, but we'll figure
And
that
I
out.
have 3 pips in it.
Well, no, 4 pips is fine for now. We'll take care of that afterwards.
Okay, yeah, let's.
I remember I read something in the rules recently that there has to be a crew upgrade in order for you guys to go to 4. So
Okay.
we need to verify it, but that's not important right now. Let's keep going with this.
Okay.
All right, so you're gonna roll your skirmish.
Okay.
Position is risky. I don't think it's desperate because you are in a situation where
I would argue it's actually controlled. The guy is right in front of me, leaning across me. He's an easy target. He's right there, and I was waiting for the opportunity.
you were waiting for the opportunity, but if, as I described before, the second guard in the back tensed up with his blade and is watching as the first one moves forward.
Yeah, he's going to be a problem.
Yeah. So it's a risky situation. I could see an argument for it being desperate since it's a life or death situation, but I think that Grin is much more in control of, you know, his he handles himself in situations very well in this, you know, in violence. So I don't think it's an out of control situation for him. So that's where desperate would come in this particular case. If you were facing 6 or 7 guys,
Yeah.
your special ability, I could see that being necessarily a desperate situation, but you're so it's going to be risky.
Okay.
The effect is up for grabs all around. I could see all 3 options. Limited being you just are able to take this guy out, to great being not only do you stab this guy, but you knock the driver in such a way such that he drops the reins and the goat, stops moving because it's not being, coaxed on, kind of a thing.
I got
And
an
also
idea.
finding yourself in a position to kill the other guy, the other one coming up behind.
I've got an idea. If
Okay.
I could land this well, being able to grab and push him onto the other guy would be great.
Onto the guard on the seat in the front?
No, onto the guy that's drawing.
Oh,
their
okay. All right. Fair enough.
Literally, if I can carry them back into that person, that at least gives me a second where I could get the kukri out at one of the two in the front.
Okay, if that's what you're doing, then yeah, I will say the position or the effect is going to be great.
Okay.
That'd be awesome.
All right.
Okay.
And do you want to push yourself or take a Devil's Bargain?
I cannot take any stress, but I've always wanted to try a devil's bargain.
They're delicious.
But with 4 dice in my favor, do I need to?
I don't know. Do you need to?
I know what my rolls are like. If I don't take it, I'll need it. And if I take it, I won't need it.
Remember, the Devil's Bargain will happen regardless of whether you succeed or fail. So that is one thing to consider.
Well,
you do have 4 dice right now. That's a pretty good. It's a pretty good place to be in.
Yeah. It would be interesting though if there was a devil's bargain that involved a certain female imperial officer. Anyway,
I can offer you a Devil's Bargain if you'd like, and you can make a decision whether to take it or not.
Yes, please, Johnny.
Okay.
I saw that trend. I saw that eye roll.
So, regardless of what happens, regardless of your success or failure,
Yeah.
this circumstance will ruin your relationship with Mercy.
With Mercy. Success or failure. Hey, I'm all about narrative and the storytelling. I'll take the devil's bargain.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Why not?
You're gonna roll 5 ones. Watch. This is just...
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Did you roll it?
Um,
Are you feeling tense about this? You can take it back. You haven't rolled
No.
yet.
I'm going to do it, and it gives me 1 bonus dice.
Gives you 1 bonus die.
Oh, I'm praying for a crit. Okay. The effect we said was
Great.
great. Oh boy. Bonus dice is 1. Here we go. Oh shit.
Wow. Okay.
Oh.
Oh.
It's
Okay.
interesting that the bonus die that you got from the Devil's Bargain actually rolled a 1.
Yeah.
That's and the part of it. So roll 20.
Remember,
wise.
it's a 5. It's a 5. Don't
It is a
freak out.
5. Yeah.
It is a 5, but roll
I was-
20 can sometimes be a pain in the ass.
I was
Anyway.
praying for that double 6.
Anyways, so your blade comes directly in as you kind of move the guy into a position, knocking and falling, having the essentially the second guard kind of fall flat as the weight of the first guard just kind of weighs on top of him, and he's kind of stranded a little bit. But the complication in that, because with the success with a complication, is that immediately there is a noise that comes from there's like a whistle that comes from the driver as he realizes something is going on and begins to he begins to make a sound that essentially alerts the cart in front of you guys.
Okay.
So who's up? Who wants to move next? Grin can go again. He can kill the second guy because he's taken out the first guy. Ari can make her move against the guard in front. Sky and Hocus can do something else. Right now, the 2 guards are basically, one is pinned and the other is dead. And Grin is standing over both of them in the moving cart.
I want to basically reach behind and put a blade up to the neck of the driver.
Okay.
Actually, I take that back. I don't have a blade.
How do you not have a blade in a game called Blades in the Dark?
Even
Listen.
Ari has a blade.
It's in the name.
I travel
It's in the
light.
name. You're fired. You're fired.
I have
You're
a concealed palm pistol though.
All right, that's good enough.
I will point that at his head.
Okay.
And I'll just say, keep driving. Don't say anything. Just keep driving.
Okay, so that's an interesting circumstance. Describe to me, I mean, is it like just hidden in like a little pocket? Do you have one of those like little gambler sort of like, things that kind of pop it out so that you can just grab it? Because I'm wondering how fast the motion is as when you get to it, because his whistle was, when he realized that there was commotion going on in the back, he started to whistle almost immediately. So I'm wondering if you caught him mid-whistle or not, is basically what I'm wondering. Like, is it like, because it's one thing, if it's one thing if it's a blade and he can feel it immediately at his neck, it's something else that you've got this like little pistol that you're kind of like.
It's basically just like a mechanism in his sleeve where if he just sort of flicks his wrist the right way, it's in his hand.
Okay. And you come up behind him and you catch him. Now, when you do this, he's in mid whistle, and so he doesn't get to quite finish it. So there's one of the guards is kind of looking back, trying to look around the goat to see what's going on, but he's not quite. He's not quite sure something's up yet. The driver did not complete the audio essentially signal, the message. It did not get out. His audio cue did not get out completely. So the guy kind of looking back and just kind of checking at it. So
right.
you've got a moment to figure out what you're going to do.
This is the point I quickly give a nod to Ari.
Oh God, I feel like this is about to get really inappropriate.
Please do it.
More?
Make Trendane look like a little baby and get more inappropriate than Trendane does.
Trendane is slowly recovering from a pretty bad panic attack, so just keep going.
Because, okay, the only other reason I can imagine a guard kind of making a little bit of a whistle sound would be if Ari were to do something like really inappropriate, like either like flash or something along those lines.
Flashing him?
Well, it's almost like he's signaling to the other one, like, hey, take a look at this.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So you want to basically use your intimate influence in your physicality in some way to kind of distract him and catch his attention, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. How are you going to do that?
Be honest, when I nodded at you, I was just expecting you to kill the other guard.
Oh, okay. I could do that too.
No,
go on. You want to go and make this? You want to make this inappropriate? You're more than welcome to. That is the whole point of Blades in the Dark. It gives you permission to go into place you necessarily couldn't in other games. But that being said, I assumed also that you were going to just continue and slice his throat as you had described previously. So it's your call.
Well, I was just trying to think how could we stop the whistling or explain the whistling? Because that if he died suddenly, wouldn't that be more of an issue than if somebody was just like, oh, he's just
having
a moment?
Sure. I think that makes a complete sense, actually. So
I did only nod.
The driver was cut off mid whistle, and so that kind of causes the guard that's sitting in front, who didn't really because of your distraction, the way that you were engaged with him, he didn't realize that something has actually happened, right? Because your hand is still kind of on his shoulder, and so he's starting to look as to what's going on. So what do you do to entice him or to catch him off guard? Like, you can describe it as inappropriately or as demurely as possible. Is it just
Well, now I'm just kind of tempted to stab the guy in the throat. Like the original plan. Let's go with that one.
You do whatever makes you feel comfortable.
Let's just stab the guy in the throat. That was the original knee-jerk reaction after she saw somebody else's head kind of go up was, okay, distraction moment.
So Sky's got the driver kind of like with a gun, and he's cut off mid-whistle. The guy's turning around, giving you the perfect opportunity as he kind of turns and exposes his throat to you.
Yeah.
So go ahead and give me a roll of some kind. What do you want to use?
Nice.
See, I have nothing in any sort of prowess. So I guess I could pick any, really, wouldn't it? I guess I'll try.
So we took a crew upgrade last time that everyone gets a +1 action rating to finesse, prowl, or skirmish. So if you didn't add that, you should right now.
Say that again. That was the upgrade.
It was. It's called Renegades. Each PC may add +1 action rating to finesse, prowl, or skirmish. It's basically just permanent. You have an extra pip in one of those things of your choice.
I think that's how I got to 4 pips in skirmish.
Okay, so we'll talk about that off. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to say probably either then finesse or skirmish would probably be.
Okay. All right, so you've got 1 in skirmish. Position is
Probably risky again, or if not desperate.
I'm going to say it's risky at this point because you still don't. It's still not a situation where your life is on the line or anybody else's life is on the line.
All right.
I could almost see an argument for controlled, given how distracted he is. I'm going to leave that choice really on you. What you think is probably the circumstance?
I mean, I guess everybody around him is sorted. In some way, shape, or form. We kind of do have control of the situation right now.
Okay.
Anybody else against that, or no?
I'm fine with
cool. Controlled.
Okay. The effect, I think, to me is going to be limited because you're focused specifically on this guy.
Okay. And bonus dice.
I think you deserve 1 specifically for sheer surprise of the situation. He's not going to expect that coming from you. Otherwise, I'm not sure there's anybody who can offer an assist besides Hocus.
I think
you got this.
I think that move is so quick that she would probably just do it and nobody would know that it was about to happen.
Okay, fair enough. Go ahead and make your attack then.
Cool.
And that's a success. All right. So what do you do specifically with your blade? Do you slice his throat? Do you stab him in the throat? How do you what is the action that you take? Because you've got his neck exposed essentially, and he's kind of half twisted towards you.
I'm going to say that she just stabs right through.
Basically the same kind of thing that Grin did with his kukri, except with a smaller blade. Okay, so as you do that, he kind of gurgles a little bit and begins to kind of fall forward. And the consequence, because it's a 4, so it's a success with a little bit of consequence, is the goat begins to kind of get a little spooked and kind of pick up its gallop a little bit, and almost is starting to inch forward and almost bump the next vehicle, the next carriage. So Sky, this is really your opportunity to use some sort of an influence on the driver.
All right, calm down those goats now. We're going to take a turn. Don't make any noises. Just turn down that alley right there. And you don't have to get hurt.
Okay, so it's not going to be an alley because you're in the
Fields.
The fields, right? It's more going to be either orchards, or you're not. I think you're much farther away from the eeleries. I think the eeleries are more to the south Iron Hook. I think you're in the orchards, essentially, where the iron or the radiant energy plants are. So the vehicle begins to kind of, to slow a little bit as he kind of gains in the reins and begins to kind of turn into. For the moment, it's not noticed because there appears to be a little bit of commotion going on the second cart. But it's not noticed that you guys are moving away, and so you kind of slink into the orchard for the moment. And you kind of pull off to the side, and he kind of reins up as he gets a little bit into there, and he just kind of looks around, and he turns his head slightly just to see what's going on, and he's starting to panic. The driver is starting to panic.
How far away are we from the other carts at this point?
They were probably a good 20 feet in front of you in respect to the spacing of the carts.
Mm-hmm.
As he was, as the goat was kind of picking up and galloping, you got really kind of close, maybe, about 5 feet, but kind of backed off a little bit as you did that. By the time that the commotion was going on and you were able to turn off the carts are probably 100 feet down the road at this point. You see very little activity where you are, though, because you're in the orchards during martial law. And so people are moving to shelter in place in their various huts, or they're trying to move back to their homes in Barcleft. They are not. There's really no. You're really alone right now in the radiant fields. And so what you see is you're in these radiant fields these radiant energy fields where there are these trees that are kind of placed, at a good length between what are much smaller rows of crops that are grown that are the actual sustenance or food, right? And so the radiant energy crops kind of provide the light and the energy to help the photosynthesis and all of the things happen to help grow actual plants. So it's really a dim sort of like an orange kind of like eerie glow, and there's mist that kind of moves through it, but those lines of these trees are kind of between them are these wide spaces where there are actual lines of crops that are being grown, and so you find yourself in a place where there are eggplants being grown, basically. And I hate eggplants. Just saying that.
But we're okay. So we're alone. This guy's looking like
For
he's
the
starting to
moment.
panic.
For the moment, and he's starting to panic.
We're far enough away from the other carts at this point, though, right?
That is correct.
That's all I need. No witnesses.
I saw it.
You said it was a little pistol, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
It wouldn't.
It's the kind of thing where the flash is not gonna be bright, and the sound is probably gonna be minimized. That's what I'm trying to clarify. I'm just because I don't think that deserves a fortune roll. So you cleanly kill him. He goes down. He's done. Hocus, you immediately perk up at the death. Right, there are 4 deaths that have happened around you. You realize what's going on.
She's not. We're going to pay for this in a major way later on. I don't have the bottles to be able to take these people. Shit.
Close enough to the canal, ain't we?
No, actually, you're not.
Well, we can get there.
Do you realize how heavily these streets are being patrolled right now? Those bells indicate martial law.
Yeah, and we got some military uniforms right here.
I think this one looks like it's in your size.
What did you say, Johnny?
Some of them are a little bloody, given the locations of the because you definitely would have hit some major veins, possibly the artery, depending on the size of the blade and how sloppy or not you were. So at least 2 of those uniforms are going to have blood stains on them. But guess what? It's the dark.
We can deal with that. That's not.
Yeah.
All we have to do is take one of the big ones that might fit Jinx.
Hmm.
And then after he puts it all on, and he's like, I just don't know. And somebody just elbows him in the nose so that he just starts bleeding all over.
Well, I'm going to remind you guys that yes, there's martial law going on, but you still have two other individuals with you. One of them happens to be a blue coat.
How's Mercy
So the
reacting to
question-
this, by the way? How is the Mercy and the blue coat reacting?
Mercy is shaking her head, and you can see that when this is all said and done, that her blade was at the ready. The blue coat's just shaking his head and mumbling about just wanting to earn some coin again. So you guys are now in a field. You're in the Radiant Orchard, a Radiant Energy Orchard, essentially. We're pretty much at the end of the session time frame, but you guys are still really in the middle of a score here, right? You've successfully escaped, but you now need to get someplace safe.
Right.
I say, yeah, let's put on those uniforms. Dump those bodies somewhere, or
Take to the canal.
in...
And then... well,
And this wagon. Those other two wagons are going to notice that that their third trailer is missing.
Yeah, they're gonna come back. We're better off on foot. We're better off on foot. We can stay off the roads.
Do you want to end it there, and you guys can make a decision about what you're going to do?
That's a good idea.
And on
Yeah.
cliffhangers? What are you talking about?
This isn't as dramatic as the last one, but it's a pretty good cliffhanger.
It's pretty good.
All right, so we'll call it there. So just to kind of reset the situation, you guys are still far away from a safe haven, but you've successfully extracted yourself from everybody else, and Sling is still missing. And so, Hocus, when you look in the ghost field, because I'm sure that you will, to kind of keep an eye on what's going on with Goat that's in your arms, you'll notice that the direction of the tether is more in the direction of the breach in the field. So whatever it is trying to, wherever she is, she's trying to make her way into Doskvol. And with that, let's do character XP.
God.
Yep.
Dear Lord.
God. All right.
Who wants to go first?
I'll do it. Why
Okay.
not? All right. No desperate actions. Address the challenge with calculation or conspiracy. I'd say probably yeah. When strategizing on how to get out of the tent at the very least,
Okay.
and then possibly again when strategizing on how we were going to get in to the barrier.
Sure. Although in my recollection, you were a little catatonic, or Sky was a little
Right.
catatonic during that. So I think that it was really Grin and Ari that kind of pulled you out of that at that point.
That's
So,
fair.
all right.
Even then, when we were like planning right before we got in, he wasn't really using calculation or conspiracy. He was just like, let's break all the spirit vials.
Yep, absolutely. Right. I mean, you were ready to cause some chaos, which I think actually plays into Belief Drive's heritage and background, because you do want to watch the world burn, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's at least one XP there for you. Is there another situation that came up?
I think there was. I think there was. I mean, the entire like beginning scene when he was struggling and just like lost. Because his plans had fallen through and he no longer had any direction on what to do. I think that kind of shows the kind of man that he is. That like he doesn't know what to do when things don't work out as he plans.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. I think there's going to be an argument for you struggling with your vice this time around too. I'm gonna just come out right out and say it because of how you were not only clutching but also concerned about your spirit vial with your sister throughout the entire. I mean, you were very clear, from a character perspective that was happening. So I think there's at least one. There's at least one XP in there for you. So that sounds like 4 or 5 to me.
I don't know. All of them.
All the things.
I think that's 5. I mean, 4.
I was marking them as I went. So.
Okay. All right. Right on. Okay. Cool. Who wants to go next?
I can go.
Okay.
So I think, did I in the end roll a desperate action, or did it end up being risky? I think it ended up just being risky.
Let me double check and go back through real quick and verify what that is. I don't think it was desperate. No, it was risky. So.
Yeah. Okay. But I addressed a challenge with deception or influence.
A couple of times.
A couple of times, yeah. Didn't express anything with beliefs, drives, heritage, or background, really. Nor did I struggle with my vice or traumas. But I did definitely do a lot of deception or influence.
Absolutely. So 2 points there. Are you sure you didn't? Yeah, I don't think it came up with Clara or the blue coat at all. Really, like you had some interaction with him, but there wasn't like your character, kind of engaging with that about that point. So okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Joff, Trendane.
I can go.
All right.
Okay, thanks. No.
Sure, why not? Whatever. It's all on you, man.
Desperate? No, there's nothing. There's just that one controlled roll. Challenge with knowledge, arcane power. A couple of times, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
Is it enough to reach the cap of 2?
I think so. I think that one definitely falls into you engaging. Actually, you know what? Hold on real quick. Ari, I think that this applies to you too. You engaged Goat.
Yes.
And I think that falls into your belief drives, heritage, and background. You're carrying your concern, your engagement, your desire to help there, I think is something that's a theme with Ari. Even though she's got her own motives about what she wants to do with her life, I think that there's a sense of caring about people. So I think that you deserve at least 1 there. So add a third one to your playbook, please. And so again, that falls into Trendane as well, or to Hocus as well. You definitely address that circumstance with knowledge or arcane power. Is there a second circumstance?
If we're having this much trouble coming up with one, I'm gonna guess no.
Okay. Because I'm trying to think of another circumstance where,
at the very end when we were talking about what to do with the bodies.
Right. There's also the little exchange that he had with you about the spirit warden in the controlled circumstances around, in the tent, right, where he was explaining to you why he wasn't actually going after your sister right now. So I think that definitely counts as a second one.
Okay, and that would put me in my cap of 2 for that. So next, beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think I safely got 2 for that.
Absolutely.
And then finally, struggling with issues from vice or trauma. Now I started with 5 and I'm trying to remember, there was a point where we were talking about whether or not I was going to take 2 stress for something, and I don't remember if it actually happened or not.
Oh, it was the flashback, and we didn't do the flashback.
Okay, because I did actually, for those of you not playing at home, I actually did have a panic attack. I actually did have an anxiety attack while we were doing this stream when I mentioned it. So I was sitting there trying to recover, and I'm having trouble remembering some of the early parts of this thing. So then no, we didn't do that flashback, so that doesn't apply. And haven't done any kind of meditation, but boy, is he going to need to when he gets the chance. So no, I would say nothing for that. So.
Well, so that really falls into struggling with, you know, how meditation is your calming mechanism.
Oh, that's true. Right. It's struggling.
Right. So you were hyper aware. Was there ever a point that you felt your character stepped out over that bound and was starting to deal with a panic situation, other than Trendane dealing with a panic situation?
Right. We didn't really cover it, but it probably would have been at some point on the run back from North Hook to North Hook. Is that the name of the town?
Old Northport.
Northport, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And on the run from there to the thing, he would have had a lot of time to think and not talk.
Right.
And be very acutely aware of the fact that there is stuff out here that's coming for them. It knows they're there. And he spent 3 days in exactly that sort of a situation, cocooned inside of a demon that was, you know, raping him, basically. So that is not a comfortable situation for him, being outside of being on the water. It's a little more comfortable because stuff's not as likely to come and get you, but you're at. So he probably had some moment of, you know, too much time to think about where he was and the fact that he was outside of a shield in the wilderness again, in the Deadlands.
Okay.
We just
Is
didn't
that
play it per se.
so? But did that come into actual play though, as a part of?
We did not play that. No.
Like, but did it come into play when you were, you know, involved in the conversation where Samandra was having, you know, the essentially the struggle for power between her and the lieutenant?
We were
play later on in the tent.
He would have felt more secure in those situations because there were people around.
Okay. All right. Well, then that's a fair point. And so I guess you didn't really struggle with it. So that's 3.
Big flock of Canada geese flying by.
Okay. So that's 3, right? 1 from or 2 from the knowledge and heritage, and 2 from the beliefs and backgrounds kind of thing. So that's 4. Sorry. All right, Joff, you're up.
No desperate action. Did I address a challenge with violence?
No, I don't think so.
No. Only the 1 murder this time. So.
Oh, that's right, because the other guy was buried. So there's only 3 guys, and the other one's knocked out.
He's under a body. I kind of forgot about that, but
yeah, that might be a problem later on. But we'll deal with that next week.
Yeah.
And kill him quick.
So 1 for that. Beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. A little bit more of Jinx, especially with how his relationships with Samandra and with Mercy, and obviously that devil's bargain is going to kick him in the. Anyway.
Yeah, there's definitely 2 there. Absolutely.
I think there's 2 there, and then struggle with issues from your vice. This is a recurring thing. My vice did not come up, and I want to.
Actually, it did because you complained about the fact. Yes, you left your alcohol, so you acknowledge that.
Okay.
You have the ability to indulge right now.
Okay, I'll take it. Okay.
Yeah. So that's 4.
That's 4. Hooray!
All right, real quickly, guys. Let's do the crew sheet. Poor Sling missed out on crew XP or individual XP this week. So, execute a successful smuggler or acquire new client or contraband source.
I don't think so.
No.
Contend with challenges above your current station.
2.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Multiple occurrences of dealing with the Imperial Army. Bolster your crew's reputation or develop a new one. Your crew's reputation is professional.
Can we take 2 for that? I think.
No, because there's definitely. You guys are not acting very professional right now.
We're not. We
right.
weren't.
Well, see, that's developing a new one.
We weren't acting as Phantom. No one knew who we were. It had nothing to do with Phantom's reputation. It was literally the 4 of us trying to escape.
I'll give you 1 there. I'm not sure I can go with 2 because that's just. Express goals, drives, inner conflict, or essential nature of the crew. I wouldn't say the essential nature. I definitely think that there was a lot of inner conflict between trying to decide what your actual plan of action was and what your ultimate goals were. Because you guys were struggling to figure out how to get back in, and there was a little bit of conflict there, and then there was conflict once you got into the tent because you weren't sure how you were going to take action and what you were going to do. So I think that I think there was a lot of struggle. There was a lot of internal strife going on. There was definitely some, differences in approach. Essentially, is what I'm highlighting there. So I think that definitely qualifies as two.
Cool.
All right, and with that, Speedy, it's all you.
Oh man, thank you guys so much for coming out here. This has been super, super fun as always. I want to give a quick shout out to everyone who followed. Actually, it's not going to be very quick because there were a lot of people. But
There were.
Let's go through McConan, Parker, Pandy Fox, God I Miss 1995, Shushed, Hiruma Kenichi 87, Sak the Master, OK PLT, Eduardo, Wrath of the Dice Gods, The Original Mystery Inc., Nexus. Wait, that's the host. Thank you for the host, anyways. Skaga, thank you for the bits. And then I want to thank all of the subscribers as well. Grimjack21502, Dice Rolling Mama, Owlbare, Accidental Legend, Goats Are Goat. Thank you all so much for subscribing. It really does mean a lot. Thank you so much. Welcome to the Slowpokes and to the Slow Bros, those of you who subscribed.
Grimjack is delicious.
I'm going to have to unite all the people who are attracted to Grimjack and Grimjack in a one shot just so that we can get this sexual attention out of the fucking
There will be more than one shot, I promise.
Johnny, do I need to run that so you can play?
Yes.
No.
I mean
no. I get to be the master.
Okay.
Okay, clearly you haven't played with me, but wait. Allow me to rephrase.
All right.
Winnie? Don't
Well-
Winnie.
Don't judge me for my whinnying.
Just saying, you're so far away now. Don't make me think of you as horse-like in any way.
Well, technically, I'm above you, and so is he. Look at the screen. We're
Not
both
anymore.
above you right now.
Yeah, we're all on the same level. I just changed it.
Which makes me feel like an idiot because I've been looking off screen the whole time.
Yeah, I thought about saying something but didn't.
By the way, before anything else, congratulations, Speedy, on the amount of subscribers and followers. That's pretty awesome tonight.
Yes, very much.
That was great. I really do appreciate everyone going out. This has been a fantastic season premiere. Let's go around to all of our players and ask them what they thought and where we can find you on the internet. Starting with Trendane.
Oh, you can find me here, apparently. Aside from here, you can also find me occasionally over at Arven Eleron's Twitch channel, where we play D&D 5th edition with the Infinity and Beyond crew. And we also do a voice acting live stream over there once a month called The Our Vocalists. It's also on the same channel. Aside from that, if you want to hear way too much of me doing various voices and whatnot, and you are a fan of Skyrim, download the mod Beyond Skyrim Bruma, which is doing quite well on the Skyrim Nexus. And you will hear me everywhere in that freaking thing, because basically you go south from Skyrim into the northern part of Cyrodiil, which is the county of Bruma, and you quest in there. You can either start as a brand new character or take your existing character and their followers, whatever you like.
Hey, Trendane, what's
What?
Skyrim?
Skyrim? Well, Speedy, can you turn around and no, never mind. Different one. Sorry. Never mind. You can look it up on the internet. I trust you. Just the safe search thing. Turn that off. Madam Gandalf.
On that note, hi, I'm Madam Gandalf. It was so good to be back doing Blades in the Dark. I have missed this so much. It's a highlight of my week, and plus playing Ari, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun being Ari because I'm not Ari. I really want to point out that that's not very much like me.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
Don't slut shame, madame. Don't slut shame.
Wait a minute. Nobody's gonna slut shame you. This is
Everyone
have a
enjoys
good
it way
time.
too
Look
much.
at Trendane.
I was going to say I could, but it's like pot, kettle, you know.
I've never met anybody who mentions rim jobs more than anybody. You know, well,
Wow.
yeah, really.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's all.
Don't
But
put your finger up in the. Never mind.
But yeah, you can catch me just about everywhere on the internet as Madame Gandalf. That's Madame with an E, not Madame without the E, meaning French for Mrs., not like the reason why you might need this thing. So
That looks like it has seen some love.
it was an Indiana Jones costume, and then I started playing Domina, and I got really into the game Domina, and now it's just a ruined mess.
Like so many other people, I'm sure.
But yeah, you can catch me 5 days a week here on Twitch. And on that note, thank you everybody for watching. Take it away, Joff.
Hi. It's really hard to follow those two.
It's not hard.
God. My name is Joff. You can find me here on Twitch and also on Twitter. I go by the handle Owlbare. That's bear as in, not as in. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, where you can find me throwing dice at people and doing Secret Santa gift exchanges and singing the praises of Dungeons and Dragons and other RPGs, and just generally sharing my own unique brand of horseshit. And tonight's game was... I don't know what I was expecting, actually, going into tonight's game. That was not it. It felt kind of powerless, I think, during most of it. It felt like we were grossly outnumbered, grossly unable to escape. And I didn't think the little jailbreak with the third cart was going to work, but there you go. And I kind of felt bad the moment I killed the one guard, and I'm like, oh, maybe that was a dumb idea. Shit. But when it's going to that awful prison and it's escaping, you know, going to escape. But yeah, great game. I'm so happy to be back. I'm so happy to be playing with you guys. And I've almost already forgotten about Lulu.
Who?
She's
Wow.
She will kill us. She will kill us.
She wouldn't possibly kill me.
She has guns. Have you heard? She has
I
guns.
thought we were past the rim anyways.
No, that's not a rim job. Have you ever had... Never mind.
And that's it.
Speaking of unimaginable shame, Johnny.
Unimaginable. What? All right. I thought tonight was amazing. I actually expected you guys to go a little bit more balls out to try to get in. The fact that you were also controlled in such an uncontrollable situation was pretty impressive to me. I expected a lot more reactions.
Really?
I'm very curious though, Joff. You just said something that I kind of want to ask you a real question about, which is, how did you expect it to go tonight? Because if we didn't meet your expectations,
No.
I'm wondering what you were imagining was going to happen.
I've spent 3 weeks trying to imagine what was going to happen next, which I knew was pointless. I knew it involved us trying to get back into the city through the breach and hiding. I guess I didn't predict the Imperial response being that quick. But we were, after the explosion, and then we went to the dock, and then there was the possession and the exorcism. We were out of pocket for a good, hour? 90 minutes?
You were definitely out for a significant time, enough for there to be some level of a response.
So yeah, but when we saw that, and it's like, oh, we took quite a while to inspire everyone to get into the carriage, and we sent the carriage, and then we follow behind, and it's oh shit, right. There's a checkpoint. Of course, there's a fucking checkpoint.
I was expecting the trip back to take a lot longer. It'd be a lot more involved.
Okay.
I was surprised we didn't experience any ghosts. I was actually a little I was a little bit disappointed because it didn't seem like ghosts had really gone through the barrier either. Like it didn't seem like it had caused much trouble.
Speedy, if you say disappointed, did you just see Johnny's frown? Don't. Don't.
So I don't know how much. I mean, Speedy, you were there on Saturday. You also heard a little bit about what happened last night, I'm sure. What you guys were expecting was a world-ending cataclysmic event. You have to realize that this society has, for 900 years or 850 years, has been dealing with very similar types of events. So they knew what was coming up if something fails. There was a plan in place. I love that you guys were expecting it to be world-ending. The reality is that this probably hasn't happened the first time. The lightning barrier failing.
Yeah.
An explosion might be different, but the spark rights were definitely.
We need to think. We need to think bigger.
I'll tell you what.
There was a letter that told me to think bigger, right?
Yes, there was a letter that told you to think bigger, but I will also give you a little bit of a hint if you want to pull a thread on a story, on a plot thread that actually could be considered bigger. Find out why the couriers stopped moving between the noble houses.
Huh.
You want to pull a thread that's bigger? That's one of them.
I would like to make a slight correction in that last season, we always heard and saw lots of impacts on the shield wall and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting there to be more active ghosts in that area. Not that it was going to be a huge flood going into the city, but I thought that we were going to have to deal with more things that would have just been out hunting in general.
So to respond to that, you guys were away from the wall, the lightning barrier, for at least an hour. You're not sure what actually made it through. You're also not sure what was around you at Northport. Things definitely made it in. They would know how to respond to it to some degree, but not everything. And I'm going to scratch that little itch in the back of your mind about things that happening. Where do you actually find out what happened to Sling?
Oh God!
God damn it!
Who?
I missed her.
Exactly. Right? I don't know who you're talking about. That random person that's attached to this dog that you keep playing with.
I'm assuming she got snatched because there's no reason she would just walk off without go.
I had some ideas for what we were gonna do with Lulu being gone before, and I'm wondering if you put them into play.
I'll be honest with you, completely 100% honest with you. Lulu is responsible for everything that's going on right now.
Oh my God, damn it!
She is the one who is responsible for it. She's the emperor. She's the one who has that little city that's all fine off by itself, and the rest of the damn world is shrouded in darkness and demons and crap. It's her fault.
And the boat is exploding.
From his mouth.
The goats were a distraction.
Sling is the one that knocks.
You heard
She holds the one true ring that rules all goats.
Oh my
Right.
God.
She is the mother of goats.
Oh my God.
No, but seriously, so I totally understand what you guys were expecting, and I had planned to play it up like that, but the way that you guys were responding and what you were trying to do, the distance was not that far. You're going to have to deal with the consequences inside of the city. They're going to be prepared for some of those consequences because the society has been around for 850 years, have been dealing with this. But Hocus, you don't know what actually made it into the city.
Made Hocus light up like a...
Or do you?
Is it too late to switch our crew from smugglers to Ghostbusters? Can we be Ghostbusters? That would be awesome.
There's something
Turn
strange.
into a cult. Close enough.
You can't. There are rules for you to switch to crew, so absolutely, guys. But
Yeah. What do you guys, mother of goats, that is our god. Somehow this
the
always
forgotten
happens.
god, mother of goats.
So some of this always happens. I was in a campaign with Louise before where she became mother of geese, Aquila, the goddess.
Wait, Aquila?
Aquila.
That's Latin for eagle. Why would she be the mother
I
of
don't
geese?
know. We were set in ancient Rome, so yes, it would make much more sense if she was a goddess of eagles, but no, it was geese.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways.
So there's a recurring G theme. Like, what's that mean? Like, next she's going to be like the mother of giraffes, or like,
I think it has to be a G. I think it has to be a guttural G.
oh, like a
not,
G.
not a palatal G.
Mhm. So like guppies or goblins.
Yeah.
The mother of
Gooches.
guppies. She just has a lot of.
That's true. Geese are flying creatures, creatures of the air. Goats are land creatures. Guppies are sea creatures. She's just covering
It's a
everything.
theme.
We're on
Whoa.
to you, Lulu.
Conspiracy
We're on.
theories.
See, he's nodding his
Start
head.
writing in the forums.
He's nodding his head. You see that?
No, I'm trying not to make really bad innuendos. I'm trying to control it.
In whose endo?
Something that involves G's.
And strings
Mother of gazelles. I love it.
or spots.
Gerbils.
Like cheetahs have spots, but they come too
Ubers.
quickly.
Anyways,
Maybe I should say they arrive too quickly.
Gators.
Yeah. Gators.
Sure.
Oh, with a
Mother of
Geckos.
gators.
Anyways, we can just keep listing off G names for a while, but
Yeah, probably.
I'll let you guys. Your task, all of you watching right now, is to go home and think of all the G creatures that Louise is
Mother of.
the mother of.
Mother of.
So make sure to tweet those at her
Yes.
at your leisure.
And that is at no more, no less on
Yes,
Twitter.
at no more, no less. That's Moore with 2 O's.
Yeah.
It's a pun on her surname.
Mhm.
And an
So-
E. Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. There's an E in more anyway, isn't there?
Yes.
I'm doing
Make
it
sure
right
it's
now.
Mother
so-
of G, and then parentheses, and into the parentheses put East or Aiders or Oats or whatever.
You understand the concept. But that is all we have for you guys today. Thank you for sticking around with us through this ridiculousness. I appreciate you guys coming out. I need to give more shout outs to the people who followed since the last time I said thank you for the follows.
Right.
Goblin Plays, Tren Mikuku, Dzoid 5000, and B White for you. Thank you so much for those follows. We will be ending the stream off with a little bit of a raid. We're gonna go visit someone who I don't think I've ever actually raided before.
Virgin.
Virgin. But she's great. She's been a regular viewer on this channel as well as a lot of other channels I'm a fan of. If you guys have heard of Oh My Fiona, she's absolutely wonderful. She's currently playing some Transistor, which is it's a fantastic game. Just story-wise, T-Squared, thank you for that follow as well. The link to her channel's in chat. So thank you guys so much for coming out here and watching. Those of you who are subs, actually, feel free to replace that that sloth emote with a one of our sub-only emotes, the Not So's Love. But thank you guys, as always. I appreciate it so much, and I will see you next time. As always, don't forget to take it slow. Bye. And raid.